Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello and welcome to Footy Judge Mo people. Tom is wearing Inter Milan shirt today for some reason, of course. But listen, Liverpool collapse. Was it imminent? Because I have had a lot of comments. I've had a lot of people tell me that it was not sustainable. And we kept saying it was sustainable. They played 30 games with this brand of football until it finally caught up to them. A mistake that happened yesterday from the youngster Kwanzaa that I think cost him the game. Kobe Mano, absolutely brilliant goal. And Salah, Nunes, Diaz, Sabozlai, they let Liverpool down, starting by the big guy Muhammad Salah, who I'm accused of always defending him. Right? And I will defend him always because I'm Egyptian and he's Egyptian, but I'm biased and I'm going to hear it from Tom and I want to hear from Nobbins what they think about that. Manchester City cruised past Palace, or were Palace robbed of a penalty? And also, we'll speak about Arsenal and who are the favorites now. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the penalty yesterday. Was it a penalty? Because for some reason, people think that Liverpool should have left this game with 0 points, not 1 point, of course. But big up everybody that joined us. Listen, just over 100 people, and we're just starting. So, like the video now if you're here, because my target is always 300 to 400 likes. And also, if you're watching this on the replay, hit that like button before you go on and enjoy the show, because we're in for a great show. It's counter views, it's more of a reasonable, rational talk, of course, while everybody's settled now after yesterday's madness that happened yesterday. And how are you guys doing? How's everybody doing?
I'm good. I'm chilling.
I'm all good.
I thought nobody
Yeah.
you normally have the blue light after a win weekend.
Oh, I just forgot to put it on. I won't lie to you.
All right, you look all right. You look all right.
Thank you. Oh, thank you, mate. Thank you.
Tom, how are you?
I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. Chilled out, relaxed.
All right.
Enjoying life. I'm enjoying life outside of football.
Yes. I'm gonna ask you guys in the chat one thing. I want a favor from somebody. If anybody can do the timestamps for the show, I would really appreciate it. Doesn't have to be a lot. And send it to me on Twitter, right? Listen, we'll start with yesterday, and we'll start with Liverpool, of course.
Mm-hmm.
How disappointed were you, Tom, with some of the players? I want you to pinpoint which one disappointed you more. Or is it Jurgen Klopp? Klopp, mate, it's time to go.
It's not on Klopp because Jurgen Klopp didn't tell our entire front three to miss chance after chance after chance after chance after chance after chance after chance. Salah was just horrendous. Horrendous. That's what he was. He was horrendous. He played a nice pass and scored a penalty. That was all done across 90 minutes. Nunes didn't even have a nice pass or a goal, but he was just there. I don't know what he was doing on that one in the second half, but my other point is it shouldn't have went to him. I don't know why Diaz hasn't shot there. He tries to pass it to the back post when he's one-on-one. Why? What was our obsession with trying to pass the ball into the net? Why? We've never been that team. I missed Diogo Jota so much yesterday. So much. I missed Diogo Jota so much. So much. And look, I look at the game as it was. For the first 45 minutes, we dominated. We played how I expected us to play. They didn't even have a shot. But once again, the lack of killer instinct let us down. How we were only 1-0 up, I will never know. And I know people have been trying to crash it on Kwanzaa for the mistake. Yeah, it's a mistake and really good finish from Fernandes. But he's not the one who's let us down there in that way, because he beyond that pass, he was fine. Other players didn't do any of their job. Not 1 minute of their job. Which is score. Szoboszlai as well can be chucked in with the front line as well, because he was horrendous. Horrendous in the final third. I thought everything going up to the final third, he was all right, but in the final third, horrendous. Harvey Elliott was the best attacker when he came on the pitch, although I do think he was a little bit lucky with the penalty. I'd be annoyed if that was given against my team. But
oh my God, someone thinks it's not a penalty. You're the first Liverpool fan to think it's not a penalty. But
It's
we're
I'd be
gonna
annoyed
come
if it was,
into it. But you're
yeah,
the
yeah.
first.
Yeah,
Go
I'd
ahead.
be annoyed if it was given against my team. I think Wan-Bissaka's stupid to go in there like that, but he didn't touch him, so it's not a pen. Elliott's
All
dangled
right.
his foot for it. So I wouldn't say to collapse. I always thought that we had wiggle room to drop points in one game. We could afford a draw and still win the league. That was what I maintained when we were doing all these predictions and everything. The issue is we've used up that draw straight away. That draw was used up straight away. So now this team has to be perfect from game 31 to game 38. They can't lose any more points. They have to win every game, and there's tough games to go. Our momentum probably took a little bit of a hit yesterday because that was a game that should have been won. I've very rarely seen Klopp so angry at that team, at them players. It was mind blowing because this attack has normally been pretty good, but the past couple of games has been so incredibly wasteful. Like I said, I miss Jota. Diogo Jota in these moments. He's a difference maker. He's the key. There's a reason why I've always maintained he's a better finisher than Salah because if Diogo Jota was fit, that game is done in the first half. Because if any of the chances come to him, he scores. That's what it is. But we didn't
Yeah.
have him, and I was just watching Salah miss chance after chance. Diaz miss chance after chance.
Should you have sold Salah in the summer then? Do you
No,
think?
no, why would
All
that
right.
sell?
All right.
We wouldn't be in this position if we didn't have Mo Salah. So just because he's cost us in one game, I'm not going to sit there and go, "Oh, we should have got rid of him in the summer." Fuck his 30-year goal
You could have,
contribution.
you could have signed
Um,
like you could have sold them for 170 or 180 and signed like 3 players. You could have signed like a world class defender and
I don't
2
need a world
great
class defender
attackers.
though.
Like you could have had Verts. You could have had maybe Osimhen. You could have had about three,
But
4 players. You could
but
have like broke him
but
down to 3, 4
you've not
players.
given me a player who can play on the right wing though. I need someone who can play on the right wing. Because
You
Klopp's
can
done
make
it
it.
before.
Klopp should have made it happen.
No,
Do you know? I'm
I
gonna,
I
guys.
don't know why we're trying to
I'm gonna
rewrite
see all
history
the
and say
super
that we
chats.
should have sold
Do you
Salah.
know? In hindsight, now I'm gonna say it, and now I'm gonna say, and people are gonna. If Klopp knew that he's leaving after the season, he should not have been selfish and sold Mohamed Salah and replaced him with 3 players to embed them in the team before he leaves.
He said it.
But he didn't know that.
Because now the players that are gonna come in, they aren't embedded in the squad, and you don't know if you're gonna get the same money. If Liverpool don't get 100 million from Mohamed Salah from Saudi Arabia, unless Klopp has to hold corn for this. Does that make sense? Nobbins? Does that
No,
make sense to you?
I think that's
Two
stupid. I
hundred
think that's
million
massively
pounds,
stupid.
Nobbins, for the guy. 200 million pound for the guy. Liverpool could have signed 3 or 4 players. And listen, I'm Egyptian. I like Mohamed Salah, but I'm looking at it from a complete neutral point of view, right? If he knew he's leaving, why didn't he sell the player that is worth 200 million? That is at the end probably might not have another, because now we're seeing a little bit of the age. Maybe now we're seeing it, and probably bought like 3, 4, 7. You can buy 370 million pound players and embed them in the squad.
Could you also say that would be too much change all at once? Like they already had to reset their whole midfield. Do they also want to, like reset their whole attack simultaneously by getting rid of like their best player?
Yes, it can, but he's leaving anyway. Who said? Okay, let me ask you something. Who said that the new manager? Okay, let me ask Tom this then. Do you think the new coach, do you think Nunes, Diaz, all of them are ready for a new coach?
I think that Salah is, that Nunes is, that Jota is, and one of Gakpo
Why is Tom
and
lagging?
Diaz will stay. One of Gakpo and Diaz will go. The other one will stay.
By the way, you're lagging big time.
Beyond that, it's all a bit sort of.
I think he doesn't hear us. He doesn't hear us. Listen, maybe. What is your take about the game yesterday? Because I actually, until this moment, people in the chat, and we have 350 people, and I'm going to do everything. Guys, the drill. Get your super chats in. I'm going to actually do all of them, and we're going to actually stop and reply and respond to every single super chat, right?
Am I back?
Dan Carlito, I literally never said the Reddit post. You think I go on Reddit and search Muhammad Salah? That's shame on you to accuse me of this.
Look,
It's classic research.
Like I
we
go on
shouldn't have got rid
Reddit
of Salah, by the way.
specifically. Huh?
We shouldn't have got rid of Salah, by the way. The points you're making then were a bit sort of weird in my mind because we got the offer to sell him the day before the season started. So at that
Oh, the
point, most
negotiation were
teams.
going from earlier, Tom.
No, but why would we? So let's say in that case, the negotiation starts
I
at the
actually
start of
don't like.
August.
I
They
actually
start at
like
this.
this guy.
They start at the start of August. So
Yeah.
the season starts midway through August. What's the guarantee that we sell Salah and then all these players that apparently we can buy, their clubs are willing to let them go just
Okay, can
before
I
the
ask you
season
something?
starts?
If you don't win the league anyway,
Also, he's
who
got
cares?
26 goals and assists, man.
Who cares? If you don't win the league anyway, who cares?
But I don't know that yet, do I?
I can
Mo
hear him.
Salah at right wing has given my team the best Mo Salah at right wing has given my team the best opportunity to win the league this season. That's what he's done. His 26 goals and assists have given my team the best opportunity to win the league. No new signing coming in would do that. No new signing coming in would straight away provide me 26 goals and assists. They wouldn't.
I don't
I'd
think
be
you get
sitting
rid of
there.
Salah.
I'd be sitting there waiting
Nobbins,
and
what do you
waiting
think?
and waiting.
No, I think it would be. Hindsight's a beautiful thing, but you know that by another argument, Liverpool might go on to win the league title from here on with Salah scoring in every single game. So it's very tricky to predict what may or may not happen. I don't think you can. Tom's mentioned the last minute window thing as well. I don't think that you get rid of your best player whilst also trying to rebuild your entire midfield, regardless of like what the managerial situation is. For me, I think that's too much change all at once. If anything, you probably need that consistency in your squad in terms of your better players to help those newer players embed into the side. And also let's be honest, Saudi Arabia aren't going to sure if it happens this summer, let's say Liverpool do want to sell, it's not like Saudi Arabia going to be like, oh, we don't want him anymore. Will it
They
be as
won't
much
offer
money?
the same money though.
It won't be this. It won't be like as much, but it will still be a lot for Mo Salah. For going to Saudi Arabia. So if it's a case of like you've lost out on some money, it will still be a lot. However much it is for Salah, it will still be a lot that they get given. So
Ultimately, I don't think we've lost out on that much because without Mo Salah, we don't get to where we are, and that's including prize money and stuff. So what he's earned to us this season from his performances probably negate the money that you would lose from a transfer fee, going from 150 to 100, let's say. That's it. I'd had no arguments with letting him go. The man, let's bear in mind, in January we were saying he was a contender for Player of the Year. He's been injured since. He's come back. He's played 5 games, scored 3 goals, and he might have an assist in there. I can't remember. And everyone's saying, "Oh, you should sell him. You should have got rid of him." Like, what are we doing here? He's one of the fairest ones. I'd be debating selling. I'm desperate to give him a new deal. Desperate. Because there hasn't been a
No, if you give
decline
him, by
from
the
him.
way, if you give him a new deal, I'm with you. Like Mohamed Salah, if Mohamed Salah is given a 2-year deal, yeah, who cares if you sold him? Because I think Mohamed Salah is still one of the best players in the Premier League and arguably one of the best players in the world. His output don't lie. Like at the end, Mohamed Salah, he's like the second or the third in the GA in the league this season. I'm not arguing this, right? I'm arguing if Mohamed Salah is sold this summer for way cheaper money, you just literally wasted the money. This is it.
We haven't, no,
because
because
and also Tom, I've seen a lot of people now telling me that Mohamed Salah should go. Yesterday, people said that age has caught up to him and he should go at the end of the season.
based
a lot
on
of people said that. It's
2
everywhere.
games back, 2 games after an injury. Let's bear in mind, the game he came back from this injury against Brentford, he scored and got an assist, and everyone was going, "Oh, look, the best player in the Premier League's back." It now got re-aggravated. He comes back a little bit slower this time. And everyone's going, "Oh, see, the age is caught up. See, you should be getting rid of him." It's 2 games. Has he not? Has he been poor in them games? Yes. I'm not arguing that. Of course he's been poor in them games. But it's 2 games. Give him time. We know his levels. If anyone has earned a bit of time to get back up to speed, it's Mo Salah. So I'm not debating getting rid of him, and I don't think that we should have let him go in the summer, because we would not be in the position we're in now in a title race without that man. We wouldn't be here. No player you bring in the summer does what Mo Salah's done this season. No one does. That's why.
Why is
he
Mohamed
he
Salah
wasn't worth
given a
selling.
leeway from Liverpool fans, but other players in the league aren't?
Like who?
Like
Well,
if Saka drops a
I mean,
stinker, if
it's
Odegaard drops
pretty
a
obvious.
stinker. Is
Let's
that
be honest,
because
Mo.
of the history? Is that because of the history of him? Is
Yeah,
that
it's
because
pretty obvious
what he
considering
did
that.
for the club? Is that because what he did for the
Yes,
club?
the fact that he's been consistent for 7 years, in the good times and the bad times on the Jurgen Klopp, he gets an element of leeway. In the sense of, if he has a couple poor games, he has a couple poor games. But we know his level. Whereas with others, it's a case of, is this what we're getting? Or what are we doing here? Mo Salah has been consistently getting 30 goals and assists or more for 7 straight seasons. It might actually be 8 now. I don't know. I don't know if it's 7 or 8. But it's at least 7 straight seasons where he's got 30 goals and assists. That is obscene. That is why he has leeway. That is why people give him a little bit more time before they go, oh, no, you got to get rid of him. It's all about giving. We know what he can do. We know what he can do. He's got 26 goals and assists in the Premier League this season, and he's missed the best part of 3 months. He's missed the best part of 3 months, and he's second highest on GA. That's not a man who's slowing down. And when you bring in Ruben Amorim, who plays his front line slightly differently, and Mo Salah will probably have to do a little bit less running, a little bit, he'd be more focused on getting in and around that box for creativity and goal scoring reasons. I expect them numbers to improve again. Is he potentially slowing down physically? Yeah, I could argue that. He doesn't look as quick as he used to. For sure. But I might not need that next year with Amorim coming in, because he plays this differently. If I don't need that next year and I can focus on what he's still good at, which is creating and scoring, we'll take that and we'll run with it. We'll take that and we'll run with it. It's other players. Don't get me wrong, on an individual level, yesterday Salah was horrendous. Yesterday he was terrible. But I've looked at him as a whole for the time at Liverpool. He's earned an opportunity to have a couple off games. That's what he's earned. So I'm not debating getting rid of him. I'm not debating selling him. The only way I'll sell him is if he comes to me and says I'm not signing a new deal. That's the only way I'll sell him. But if there's inclinations that he wants to stay on at Liverpool and sign a new 2-year contract, I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
Okay. Let me. I wanna ask Nobbins a question about Liverpool and Manchester United, the game yesterday. I know that we analyzed the game, we killed the game analysis, and we did all of this. And I actually believe at the end yesterday. And guys, there's over 500 of you here, and we aren't even on 200 likes. Come on, people. Let's get the likes up. Someone saying breaking news, like Everton 2 points again.
They got another 2 point
Let me check it again.
Is that real?
Is that real?
Yeah.
Is that just now?
Crazy. Look at Tom's little face.
Yes. I love football, me.
Actually, Premier League publicly warns against independent football regulators in political bulletin ad as they claim it will push English success at risk. The Premier League are fighting for their life. They're fighting for their life.
Easy.
Guys,
So
Everton 2-point deduction. Who's next? Who's
mad.
I don't see it yet.
What the deduction? David Ornstein's tweeted it.
It's a tweet.
Paul
It says
Joyce.
Nobody wrote the news yet. Oh my god.
Yeah, Everton given 2-point deduction for breach of Premier League PSR rules, penalty for 3-year cycle. Follows 6-point deduction for previous cycle. Everton dropped 1 spot to 16th, 2 points above the relegation zone, 7 days to notify if they intend to appeal. That's from David Ornstein.
And they're gonna be fine.
I need nothing more than for Everton to go play Championship football. I need nothing more.
Yeah, the club is gonna fall, bro. If Everton go play Championship football with the amount of debt they owe, I think they're gonna be the club is gonna fall unless they're gonna sell all their press and never coming up again. But the club owes
They
so
won't
much money
fold, but
because
they'll
the
be stuck.
stadium.
Everton won't fold because they'll be saved by someone, but Everton won't bounce straight back up.
Yeah, they won't. They have to
No,
sell the
yeah.
players. Oh
New
wow,
stadium
this
as
is
well. Lots of debt. Yeah,
crazy.
that's mad.
Do you think if City go down, they will bounce right away?
Man City,
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what players to keep.
Keep them all. They've got contracts. They ain't going
Potentially.
anywhere.
I don't think he can afford to
Potentially.
keep them all.
I don't know
mean,
what
it'll
the
only be
rules
for
would
a
be, to be
year.
fair. Yeah.
Well,
I don't know what the
I'm
rules
assuming
would
they
be.
can take the financial hit for a year and then just have to be a little bit more careful over the 2 following ones,
Yeah.
and they're still
Hey,
within
that
regulations.
luxury tax or whatever weird rule they're trying to introduce now.
Don't get me started.
That's very good for you. No,
Oh, I'm sure it is.
it's very good for Man City.
That's what we'll do. There you go. Sorted. Smashed it. City and Everton popping off in the championship.
Yeah, go ahead, do it. You know what I mean? Yes, 100%. Listen, people, over 550 of you here. Let's get the likes up, guys. The minimum is 300 likes. Come on, people. We're waking up early to do this show for you. Come on, I had 5 hours of sleep. I think I deserve some likes. So the like button underneath that chat. Nobbins, about the game yesterday.
Mm.
Do you think that was a chance missed by Liverpool and it's just doom and gloom?
Well, it's not doing good because they still have enough games to make up for that. But it's definitely a missed opportunity because they should be beating United because United aren't good. To be honest, I don't know how else to frame that. United aren't a very good team. And United just didn't learn their lessons. The gap between their defense and front line is laughable. It is laughable the amount of space that Liverpool's attackers had to just run into, and like United was somehow conceding almost like they were conceding counterattacks every single time Liverpool came forwards because there's just such a disconnect between their as I said, between their back line and their forward line. And that's why if you're a Liverpool fan, I think you've got to be disappointed that they weren't able to capitalize. Like Diaz had so many chances, Nunes had so many chances, Szoboszlai so many chances, Salah so many chances. And I don't even think United defended that well for the majority of the game. I think Maguire had a good individual display, but overall, I thought they defended relatively poorly. From a system perspective, as I say, the midfield was totally absent. That being said, in my opinion, there have been some games this season where Liverpool haven't deserved to win, but they got the win anyway. This was a game where they probably deserved to win, but didn't get the win. So that's, the way I look at that. That's like the footballing gods balancing out the universe. That's the way I've interpreted the game.
Do you think Liverpool are, so what you just said, that you think Liverpool deserve to be where they are now? Are Liverpool the team that are playing the worst football out of the 3?
No, we're just not finishing our chances. I think it's hard to say who's playing the worst football.
Yeah.
We're just the worst in front of goal.
So why is Liverpool's way always being labeled the not sustainable brand of football out of the 3? You guys heard that for sure, right?
Yeah. Because ultimately,
while Arsenal are saying it's a very
style.
good way, and Man City are like, no, it doesn't matter. City are City.
Our style's high risk, high reward, and it's very different from the other two. And ultimately, the people going on about it's not sustainable. It's sustainable when you're 30 games into a season. It is. When you've played that way for 30 games, you are where you are. It's sustainable. Ultimately, everyone goes on about the defense with us. You should concede more goals. It's the attack that's been letting us down recently. It is. Because with the amount of chances you create to not score more than 2 goals is horrendous. It is horrendous. 29 shots, 2 goals. We're averaging about 30 shots a game at the minute, and we're averaging about 2 goals. How are you averaging a goal every 15 shots?
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
And both from set piece as well. That's crazy, to be fair.
Like it's not a good look, and whoever needs to, whether someone in the forward line has to change or whatever, something's got to change. Because I can't even have a go at the defense necessarily, because the defense has had constant change in there. The only consistent figure in that defense this season has been Van Dijk. But we've had to go through 2 goalkeepers. Kelleher has now played more this season than Alisson did. That's how long he's been injured for.
Really?
In the Premier
Yeah.
League,
In all competitions.
in all competitions, yes.
All right. Okay.
But in the Premier League, Kelleher must have hit like 10, 11, 12 now, which is mad for a backup goalkeeper. You'd be very disappointed if your backup keeper's playing 12 games in the Prem. Right back wise, Trent, Gomez, Bradley, fucking everyone's played there. I'm pretty sure Curtis Jones played there for one game at some points. Centre back wise,
Why did Klopp play Canate?
massive.
Why did Klopp play Canate at Sheffield against Sheffield United, and then he got injured or
He's an
whatever?
idiot.
And knowing that he had a big game at Old Trafford, like Kwanzaa's good, but I'm not saying that with Canate on the pitch he would have won. I'm not saying that's the reason why he didn't win, but isn't that like a weird?
He would have won.
Okay, Mo's saying that, but isn't that a weird
You want to
decision
say
though
it,
to make?
you want to say it, no, because I said it yesterday, and I got, oh my god, but Konate is this, but Kwanzaa's good. The pressure got to the kid. By the way, people said he was good, but he was a little bit taken by the Old Trafford crowd and all this stuff. He was taken, and I don't blame him. He's young. The crowd was really aggressive. You might have wanted to play the more experienced guy. This is on Klopp, isn't it?
I mean, if you want to say that, yeah. I mean, ultimately, Klopp couldn't have predicted that someone from Sheffield United would try and do Canate's ACL with 20 minutes to go in that game with a harder tackle. That's the only thing that there's an argument for. I didn't have an issue with Quanta starting, and like I said, he's not who I blame for yesterday. It was a poor pass that Fernandes has finished really well first time from, just inside our half. That it's a freak goal isn't the correct terminology, but it's the terminology you're going to use. That doesn't happen every time you make that mistake. Every other time, Quanta was fine. It was just in that moment. Kelleher obviously had moved to give him an option, and it happens, and mistakes happen. Canate probably would have been a better option, but the questions about his fitness and stuff can be asked. Ultimately, it's just one of them moments where I think had that tackle not have happened on Thursday, Canate probably would have started. But
yeah, so again, another example of Jurgen Klopp getting a pass from the criticism. While if Mikel Arteta did this with Saka, if Pep Guardiola did this with John Stones, let me finish the sentence because you know why you stopped me. You know why you stopped me because you know where I'm going.
I'm trying to address someone in the comments. I'm trying to address someone in the comments first. How am I players FC when I've sat there for the first 20 minutes of this stream and gone, Salah was crap and cost us. Nunes was crap and cost us. Diaz was crap and cost us. Soboslai was crap and cost us and made mistakes. How was that being player FC? Come on,
all right. Let me finish because I wanna, guys. I'm gonna do the super chat. If you're gonna send the super chat, if you're planning to send it now, and we're gonna respond to all of them. And I'm gonna say the statement, and I want your comment. Nobbins on it. If Pep Guardiola does this with someone like Kevin De Bruyne or John Stones that are injury prone and played them in a game against a lower opposition, and they got injured, and he played the substitution and he lost points, people will criticize him massively. If Arteta plays Saka for a game that he should be rotated, right, he will get criticized. But no one mentioned Jurgen Klopp about Kwanzaa yesterday. No one mentioned that he played Konate before and he should not have. Guys, people think I'm trying to create a narrative. The narrative is there. I'm not trying to create it. The situation happened already. I'm actually saying this in hindsight after I have seen what happened. People think that I have an agenda against Jurgen Klopp. Huh? Like,
Canate
I am not
needed to play though.
Go ahead.
Against Sheffield United, because I'm just going to double check, but I'm pretty sure Canate's last game for us before Sheffield United was like Nottingham Forest, which was over a month ago, because he got injured against Sparta Prague. He got injured against Sparta Prague on March 7th and
it would have
didn't
been
play
slaughtered in the media again. If Arteta did this, would have been slaughtered in the media. That's all I'm saying. If this happened to Saka or happened to if Saliba had a slight injury or something, Arteta would have been in the media, would have been slaughtered by the media, would have been, oh my God, you are overusing the kid. You're doing this. You're not using your bench. Rotate. Konate was injured, and you have Man United in the weekend. Rest the guy.
Yes, but
Rest
I've
the guy.
just
Don't play him
yes,
against Sheffield.
yes, but I've just told you why he had to play against Sheffield United, Mum, because he hadn't played a game since March 7th. I can't, as much as you're saying we threw Quanston at the deep end at Old Trafford, I think throwing someone starting at Old Trafford when you haven't played for over a month is also throwing someone in the deep end.
Yeah, it's different than Konza. Listen, I like Konza, but in hindsight now, the guy was a little bit under pressure, wasn't he? He made that mistake. Like I wouldn't have said that. By the way, I wouldn't have said that before the game. I wouldn't.
So you
People,
agreed with the decision to start Quanston in a sense.
I
It
wouldn't
was
have
just
said
in the
that.
moment.
Yes. Okay. By the way, hindsight is something that I can use. I have
Yes,
seen
but
the evidence now.
you can use it, but you can't make your point solely based off it because, as we've understood, going into that
But the
game, everyone
manager
was going
should
Quanston's fine.
know. All right, then. If you think so, I don't know
I'll
what
put it this
Robin
way, Mo.
thinks.
Quanston's played in big games this season.
And he
Quanston's
has
played
been
against Man
fantastic
City.
and magnificent. And he has been
Quanston's played
fantastic and
in a final. He's
magnificent.
not made a mistake like that yet. So I can't
Yeah.
sit there and go, Klopp shouldn't have played him because you knew this mistake was coming. I can't say that because he's not done it yet. It was just a horrible moment at a horrible time. And ultimately, the rest of the players couldn't bail him out the way he has at some point this season. So what can we say?
Let me do
It's
the super chats before we go actually to the title race. Thank you everybody that supported the channel. Sent the super chat. Over 600 people here. I'm sure we can definitely get to 300 likes while I do these super chats, right? I'm sure you can hit the like button. I try to show you the like button underneath the live chat. It looks like thumbs up underneath the live chat. Come on. I see the likes right in front of me and they're not increasing. Andrew, thank you so much for becoming a member, Andrew. Memberships. I'm gonna scrape memberships soon, but thank you so much, Andrew, for becoming a membership. YouTube kind of scammed me with the membership thing, to be honest with you. He has been member for 2 months. Klopp, you bottler, goodbye. Diaz City than yesterday. You have a response to this? Why Andrew has been running with this since yesterday? That Klopp is a bottler.
Diaz was the
best attacker yesterday.
Diaz was the best out of the three, but he wasn't great. He was just the best out of a disappointing three. And if you want to call Klopp a bottler, you can call Klopp a bottler. Ultimately, we wouldn't have anything that we have now without Jurgen Klopp. He's wouldn't. Yes, sometimes. I mean, the title race isn't even done yet, so you can call him a bottler, and he might still go on and win it. And then what do we say?
We say Klopp is a genius.
People then go out and say, "Oh, I never doubted him. Always knew he had it in him." Yeah, I think you just got to let time go before you make
Jack House saying, as Arsenal fans, remind us all the time they are best everywhere. Now they are top, they are favorites, and have no excuses but to win it, or it's a bottle. Fact, not a fact, Jack. They are equal on points with Liverpool, Jack, and they are ahead by 1 point by Manchester City, Jack, with the toughest running. So definitely it's not going to be a bottle job from here on. You're just, Jack, trying to create a narrative. It's as simple as that. Arsenal aren't favorite. Arsenal are still, based on metrics, bookies, logic, are still third favorites. You guys still know that Liverpool's still favorites in my eyes, even after this draw. Still the same. I actually predicted Liverpool to drop 4 points. They dropped 2 against Man United. Well, they might drop 2 against Everton or 2 against somebody else. And that's it. And I didn't predict Man City to drop points against Arsenal, and they did. Basically, if Liverpool drop 2 more points and Man City drop 2 more points, who wins the league? Still Liverpool. And we're going to come to this point. But Jack, no, Arsenal are still third favorites. 100%. Now, HUSAM fan and Mo's fan. Oh my God, this is fantastic. We have beaten one Big Six team the entire year. Only Chelsea, if I'm not mistaken.
And we've got Tottenham to play as well, so it could be 2.
Yeah,
but it's still not. I mean, early
is that
on,
shocking for you? Is that shocking for you?
Yeah, it's going to cost us potentially, and I think you've got to do better than that, especially when you look at the way some of the games have gone, i.e., the City game, the United game, etc. Ultimately, what we were early on in Klopp's reign was a side that could beat the Big Six, but when you played the low end teams, you struggled.
It's turning now.
As we've gotten better or more competitive, we went from that to a team that can't beat the Big Six but can beat the low end opposition. So
right.
we've never been able. I think we had it for 1 year where we found that lovely middle ground, or like 2 years, 18, 19, and 19, 20, where you had that lovely middle ground where you could manage both. And then we've just slowly started to fade back into the side that draws. You don't lose necessarily, but you draw to the top six. And in the moment, you're like, oh well, I'd take that to start the game, and then at the end of the season, it costs you.
Yeah. Jack Howe is saying LFC guys. This is how we do the super chats. I'm just gonna do a section, and I'm gonna have a timestamp for them, so we can actually respond to each and every single one of them. All right. Liverpool are unsustainable as we hear. City's defense is weak according to Arsenal fans. So Arsenal must win the league now as favorites. Must or a bottled. Again, Jack. Forced narrative. Do you agree? Do any of you agree with this? Like just to be on the same page here.
I don't think there is a favourite. I think you've got three very
But
good
do you guys
sides.
think that Arsenal now, if they don't win it, they're a bottle job because they're top with goal
I think
difference
I think
against
he's
Liverpool?
he's saying that because last week when we were top, Arsenal fans were saying if Liverpool don't win the league, it's a bottle job at this point. I don't think people understand what a fucking bottle job is. Why has it now become if you were top and now you're not top, you bottled it? That is not what a bottle job is. Bottling something is vastly different to what we have right now. Bottling it is like what closer to what Arsenal done last year.
Or
But
what
even then,
Liverpool had 5 points ahead of City. I
yeah,
think
if you
3
want,
seasons
that's
ago.
more of a bottle than what this season would be.
Mm.
Or like when was it United or Newcastle had a 13-point lead?
Yeah. Yeah,
I
that's a bottle
can't
job.
say someone's bottled it when there was 10 games to go and we were 3 points ahead.
Yeah.
So much can change in 10 games.
Yeah.
I think people's views on the Premier League and football have changed because of what City have done. Because people now expect teams in tight races just go on 10-game winning runs. Like that's normal. It's not.
HUSAM's fan said, thank you. We need to buy a clinical striker in the summer. You gave up on Nunes already.
Crazy.
You gave up on Nunes already. Oh my
Wow.
God. Darwin Nunes.
I'm not, but if
Darwin
if-
Nunes. Oh my God. The best player there. Chaos.
if I'm a him,
Nunes.
yeah.
Nunes.
Nunes. I still like him. I still think he's a great player. I thought he had a shit game yesterday. I still think
Great
he's a good
player
player
is a
for them.
stretch. Great
He is
player
a
is
great
like,
player.
and you have
He's
when
good.
you say great for
No,
Nunes,
no,
you have to
no.
roll your R.
No, he's not great.
He's a
He's
great
good. He's
Great
good.
player is a stretch, Tom.
He's
No, but
good.
he's a great player.
He's
I mean,
good.
look,
He's improving every year.
if Amarim comes in and wants to bring
Amarim.
Gyökeres with him, I'm not going to
Amarim this,
complain.
Amarim that. Amarim comes in, struggle to get top 4. Amarim this, Amarim that, and I'm like, what is going on?
Amarim will not struggle to get top 4.
Oh my God, Tom.
I
Because I know that Man United will be horrendous. Chelsea will be horrendous. No, I think maybe we'll see how it goes. We'll see. Thank you. Appreciate the super chat, people. Arsenal deserves the Premier League based on how they play.
no,
Yes.
no. It's not based on how you play. It's based on where you finish at the end of the season.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Play style's irrelevant.
But they don't hand trophies based on how you play. They just don't.
Exactly.
And they don't hand
we
trophy
played the
because
nicest
you're
football. Where's our
underdog.
trophy? Also like how saying a team wins it based on how they play is subjective because everyone has a different preference.
Some people
for the
like
football that they
Everton
play.
when you're playing,
I
by the
love
way.
low.
Some people
I
like
love low
Everton.
block 4-4-2 football. That's my
Yeah.
favorite. So
This is-
therefore, Sean Dyche's Burnley should have won when they were in the league.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I love a deep 5-4-1, no space, just limited counter attack. That's what should win the Premier League.
They offered it 2 weeks from the window, no time to replace if July. Yes. Okay, yeah. That's what Tom said. They offered it 2 weeks. But I think it was the negotiation was going before that, Andrew. But I appreciate the information. I think that 200 million was like at the end, but in the beginning they started with like 150.
They never offered 200 million. We got an offer of 100 million and we got an offer of 130.
All right.
And then they said they were going to do 200 and then never gave us 200.
Okay. Dan Carlito saying, I was just bantering about the Reddit thing. Thank you for clarifying this. But come on, without Mo, we'd be fighting for Europe. He'd probably contribute more in revenue than 200 million. Probably. I get what people are saying, but 200 million, you could have bought 3 players, but the time was not there. So I get now why people didn't want to sell him. And I think Hussam did a show about this, and he said there was no time to replace Mo. But thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate you so much. JP saying Arsenal haven't won the Premier League since Xbox 360 and PS3 era. Yeah, 100%. Oh my God. I think PS2.
I think it's before then, yeah, because it
It's
was
PS2.
2004.
Yeah.
It's not PS3. It's PS2.
Yeah, it's OG Xbox and PS2, I think.
Yeah. Herman, thank you. Herman Siddiq is saying Liverpool fans don't criticize Szoboszlai enough. Yeah, we need to have a conversation about Szoboszlai. The
We need
Hungarian
to have
Gerard.
conversations about
They
everyone apparently on my team
overrated
now.
him. Let me read the super chat. Respect the super chatter.
Big up,
Don't
Sam.
get triggered. Don't get triggered with the first sentence. You can
Big
respond
up,
to the
Sam.
guy. You can respond to him after I finish. They overrated him so much this season, being the Hungarian Steven Gerrard, and this guy is a passenger player. Lol. Do you agree at all that he has been overrated, Tom?
If some people wanted to call him that, then yes, he's not Hungarian Steven Gerrard, but he's not a bad player. He's actually very important for this team because no one else does what he does. Hence why you saw when he went off yesterday, as much as everyone's been trying to jump on his neck, when he went off yesterday, we lost control and we lost drive from midfield because he's the only one that does that. We don't have that elsewhere. So
Andrew,
saying that we need to discuss him is wrong. He's doing a fine job.
Andrew, media doesn't say nothing about Pep mistakes. I do. And I'm not media, but I do. I do a lot. I actually magnify Pep's mistake. Because why? Because Pep is the best coach who I've seen in the last 20 years. So I magnify his mistakes.
The media doesn't shut up about when Pep overthinks something.
Oh yeah, that's
it's the exact opposite. Does no one remember like before Pep joined or like Pep's first season when it was like
final Pep against Chelsea?
Well, that too, yeah. Like people, and I still won't shut up about that mistake. But yeah, people like people literally says that your style of football won't work here, and so if anything, there's more media scrutiny on Pep. If anything, I don't quite understand what that means.
All right, big up Footy Banter for the big super chat. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Really appreciate you guys supporting the channel. If all are fit, who would you play for Liverpool? Good job, guys. Thank you so much for the support. Tom, that's your super chat.
Alisson, Trent, Kanate, Van Dijk, Robertson or Gomez at left back. Depends. Endo, McAllister, Szoboszlai, Salah, Diaz, Jota, maybe Nunes for Diaz. Like that left wing is the only spot that could change to either Diaz or Nunes, and left back either Robertson or Gomez. Apart from that, everyone else is pretty much that best 11.
All right, thank you so much. Ryan is saying, congrats to Arsenal. Oh my God, Ryan is so dramatic. Like, I can hear the drums in the background when I'm reading Ryan's super chats. Congrats, Arsenal, for winning their league. They won't drop points. Nunes and Szoboszlai, please leave my club is a stretch, Ryan. You're
Crazy.
so dramatic. Tom, I told you about Szoboszlai for a time.
Do you know what else? Hold on, let's just educate the people here. You know what else you told me about Ryan? You told me in August that Alexis McAllister was overrated and a bad signing for the football club. You also told me that Ryan Gravenberch in October was the best midfielder at the football club. You also told me that Wataru Endo was a bad signing and not the right buy for the football club. And now you're on to Dominic Szoboszlai. In the past, you've been on Curtis Jones. In the past, you've been on... You chop and change like you wouldn't believe. You're on Nunes, then you're off Nunes. You're on Diaz, and you're off Diaz. You're on Jota, you're off Jota. The defence is probably defenders there. You chop and change so much. So much, Mr. 16 out of 10. We ain't doing this now. We ain't doing this.
Right.
Ultimately... No.
James, LFC bottled a 5-point lead over Arsenal. So this is something else, guys. I actually learned that Liverpool were 5 points ahead of Arsenal, but I think it was only halfway through the season. Am I not mistaken?
Yeah, that's too early to constitute bottling. In my opinion.
Hold on, we're doing bottling for 18 games. Oh,
yeah,
halfway through the season,
yeah, they want to run. A lot of people, by the way, now are doing this. Are saying that Liverpool had 5 points lead, so that's a bottle job. And I think it was 18 games or 19 games.
Way too early.
That is before. I think that was 11 games ago. So literally about 19 games. 11 games ago.
When people try and throw these bottling things in, they act like games in hand don't exist.
5
yes,
points in
we might be
February,
5
guys.
points ahead.
Was it 5
But if
points in
they had
February?
a
I'm
game
gonna
in
go
hand,
check it. Actually, I'm gonna go check it while you guys read the super chats. Osam is saying I give up on Diaz and Gakpo. Guys, Diaz was the best player yesterday from the forward line. What are you guys talking about? Diaz slowly is going back to his best form. Come on, don't be so
he
dramatic.
scored a good goal yesterday. But again,
Okay, Reds missed
Diaz has made some
LFC.
incorrect decisions, like the rest of them.
I need to finalize the super chats because I'm like we need to speak about Manchester City because I got something to say about Man City.
Do we
And
have
we
to?
need to speak about Arsenal, huh?
Do we have to speak about City?
We do. They have a leaky defense and they might not win the league. LFC are City. Liverpool and City are playing like they aren't worried. Arsenal are playing like they can't concede a goal or do a thing wrong. Mental nerves for me. I actually think Arsenal are more calm than both clubs. Red Mist. The reason why? Because their defense gives them confidence. Very big. If you don't concede goals, you're always on the front foot because it takes one goal. Arsenal is the team now, and I believe that can win the next 7 games 1-0, 2-1. I think Arsenal are absolutely destroying this thing about defense. They're like, we're not conceding chances, we're not conceding shots, and we'll score a goal or 2. I actually think it's the other way around, with all due respect. Now, Ryan is saying, Tom's still defending Sabozlai. My word, he's absolutely dreadful. Okay, dreadful is the same when Tom said about Nunes great. See, I told you, Nobbins, there is a meltdown. There is a meltdown happening for Liverpool fans.
Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going.
He can't pass. He has no first touch. Tom, you're so shameless. Oh my God, Ryan
I'm
is
not
saying,
even gonna
remind me.
I'm not having Ryan, Mr. 16 out of 10, call anyone else shameless.
Okay. Remind me what happened when Naby got a one-on-one chance in the first 10 minutes at Old Trafford. Certain other 8 can't relate.
Remind me what Naby Keita done when he came off the bench in that Champions League final that season. Oh yeah, fucking put it over the bar from the edge of the box like a knobhead. Remind me what he done last season. Oh wait, he did nothing because he was injured. Remind me what he done years before that. He did nothing because he was injured. He was shit.
This is the same guy that got injured by air conditioning, right?
This is the same guy who at one point was a prisoner of war. That was an injury he had for us. That was why he missed the game because he was a prisoner of war.
That is iconic.
He got injured by air conditioning. He kicked the
15
ground.
minutes in super chats. I like it. Since Mo came back from injury, our front 3 performing really bad. Klopp should start him from the bench. Oh,
crazy.
God, this is crazy.
Crazy.
Okay. Oh my God, this is crazy.
No. Big up Price. No, he's onto something here. Big him up. Yeah. Don't start. Do not start Salah. Get Harvey Elliott on that wing. That's definitely the play. 100%. From now to the end, 100%. Get a fraud out of it. Get him out of here. He's not helpful to Liverpool. No cap.
We don't need passengers. Only 8 games left. Price, I can tell you, if you tell any rivals that, they will say, absolutely, do it.
No way Mo Salah has just been described as a passenger.
Mo Salah as a passenger is absolutely, that's a stand-up. It's a stand-up line.
Mo Salah on the bench.
Yeah, bench this man.
Stand-up line for sure, Price.
You know what? You know what else we should do? Van Dijk. Get Van Dijk on the bench as well. When Alisson's back fit, we don't.
Callum's playing well. Maybe start
Callum on the bench.
What about Trent? Maybe Conor Bradley should start. Oh, this is
Trent going back from injury. Nah, I don't want Trent playing. Look at what Bradley's doing. What are we on about?
Liverpool were 5 points clear before they lost 3-1 to Arsenal, and that was
in February.
How many games?
That was. Are you ready for this? That was
game week. What?
I just
too early to constitute a bottle job.
Too early, in my opinion.
6, 7, 8. 8 games, 9 games ago. So 22 games into the season.
Yeah.
It was our 22nd game of the season.
Unless the gap is like extraordinary, you know, like I don't know, 25 points in January or something. It's not until like the sort of like 10-ish games where you can properly start to talk about like genuine like bottling of a league title, surely. Like the best example is like United bottled an 8-point lead with 8 games left.
I also quite like this idea that we've bottled it by losing to the team that are currently top, drawing with the team that are in 3rd, and drawing to the team that are in 6th. We've not went to fucking Nottingham Forest and lost. We've not went to bottom of the league and lost in games that we definitely should be winning. 2 of them were title games. Like Again, do we not understand what a bottle is? Why has the word now lost its meaning?
Mm.
You know what, Nobbins? If Man City lose to Real Madrid, you bottled it. You bottled it.
That's fairs, man.
You bottled it.
Crazy. We do have the title, to be fair. So we technically lost it. So I guess you're right.
Okay, Manchester City and Arsenal. Let's speak about Manchester City and Arsenal for the last for half an hour or something like this. Manchester City against Crystal Palace. I'm gonna stop again to do all the super chats. So get your super chats in, and I'm gonna discuss each and every single one of them, like what we did in the last section. And best to be about like whatever you want to say, of course, but it's best to be about the section. Manchester City against Crystal Palace. Rodri had a bad game.
Very bad.
Very bad, giving the ball away. Manchester City's defense was wide open, especially in the first half. They were literally ball watching. You know what that means, ball watching, of course. I don't know if you use that term in England.
Yeah.
Ball watching. Crystal Palace were abysmal. That's why you won the game. And Kevin De Bruyne is a genius. That's why you definitely won the game. How do you think you can win every single game from now on? And I'm gonna show you what the title running. Go ahead.
What about that last question? Can City win all their games? Sorry.
Yes. Do you see them winning all their games?
I think that there is a world where they can, because the fixtures, if you take each fixture in isolation, outside of Spurs away, I think that most people would say that City would be the overriding favourites in all of those games. And we beat Spurs in the FA Cup away. So there is definitely a world where we can do that. I've said before, in my opinion, that's what we need to do if we want to win the league. I have been happier with the performances in the last couple of games. I was happy with as much like there were issues in the Palace game. Overall, I was very happy with the performance. I was very happy with the game preceding that as well. A lot of that has coincided with Jack Grealish coming back into the team. So if he can stay fit, and if we continue to, in the absence of John Stones, if we continue to play Rico Lewis in that Stones role, rather than like trying to shoehorn in another player or trying to play fullbacks as wingers, then we will see our best football. And again, yes, we can do it. I don't know if we necessarily will, but we have to. And as I say, I've been a bit more happy with our performances of late.
What about the Crystal Palace game? How did you
I was
see the
happy
game?
with
Were you
that game.
worried at all? Were you worried at all?
Well, I was obviously worried when we conceded. That wasn't ideal, but it was a little bit of a freak because like John Stones never misplaces passes in those moments. Like Rodri, he got his pocket picked and then Palace hit the crossbar. There was another moment where he forced Ortega to do a Cruyff turn. Otherwise, it would have been like an own goal. So that's like Rodri's first, like, truly, unless you, apart from like the game where he got like the red cards, that's his first truly, bad game. I think both him and Stones. But the other players turned up. Lewis turned up. Oscar Bob thought was good. De Bruyne, obviously. Jack Grealish, as I've discussed. Haaland got a goal. I just thought that we looked very fluid and overall measured. And yes, there were some errors, but me and LB have discussed this, that City now in a position where we need to win every game. So we've got to almost throw caution to the wind in a way. So sometimes we will have to play like this sort of like 3-1-6 shape. And is that ideal? No, because you'll get like caught on the counter. But against teams where it's like you're going to go blow for blow, City should be outscoring Palace, basically. So you might as well just go for it and try to overwhelm them. And that's going to benefit Haaland. That's going to benefit De Bruyne. That'll benefit Foden. That'll also benefit our more attacking players. So yeah, I was quite happy with the Palace game, to be honest. Annoyed at the errors from Stones and Rodri in particular, but overall I was very happy with it and happy with the Villa performance before that as well.
Yeah.
I thought that the Palace game, City looked a little bit open, especially on the counter-attack, but I assume that was just because you were playing against Palace, you wanted to put more players forward to sustain the attack.
Yeah,
on the few occasions that you were caught, it just looked like there was a swarm. Ultimately,
exactly.
Crystal Palace, I thought we made loads of poor decisions. So did Crystal Palace. Every single time they're in the final third, it was either the wrong pass or overhit pass or underhit pass. Or teams can get at City this year, and I don't think that's a mad thing to say. But the teams that get at them don't then convert the chances that they create or the opportunities that then present themselves to them, and that's the difference. I Kevin De Bruyne is Kevin De Bruyne. I did think Jack Grealish was really really impressive. I think he's going to be one of your key players in this running because what he gives that left hand side, no one else does it. I know people going, "Oh well, Doku beats his man and puts in crosses." Yes, and his 1 out of 11 successful crosses. Again, that's really important. What Grealish gives is control. Man City win games by controlling games, and Grealish gives them all the control they need. I also thought that when Akanji came on at left back or left centre back, whatever it was, you had a lot more control then as well. I don't know what Guardiola, why he was struggling so much, but Akanji just came on and was a lot more assured. And ultimately, your quality shone through in the end. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how you get on against Real Madrid because they're a team who should punish you on counter-attacking opportunities should they present themselves. So I'm interested to see if they go gung-ho. Not gung-ho necessarily, but if you try and be as attacking and as front-footed, etc., or if you try and just be a little bit more pessimistic and grind out a result sort of thing. Because if you go at them, you might score 4, but you might also concede 4. And that's the interesting thing.
Yeah, we were definitely more open. I think a lot of that was because Palace had a back 5. So we wanted to put 6 players up against them to outnumber them, which naturally left us with only 4 players in defence. So it's a dual-edged sword. Like you do better going forwards, as we did. As I say, we've not had a very fluid attack throughout most of the season, but I thought going forwards we were very good against Palace and indeed against Villa. And of course, if your two of your better players in terms of like control make weird errors like Rodri and Stones, then that's going to happen. But
that Rodri one was weird, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you say the Rodri one, but it happened like 3 times where like
I'm not about the one where he's passed it. He's almost underhit that pass in his own box to the keeper, and Ortega's had to like Cruyff turn his way out of it.
Yeah.
Like Rodri doesn't do that. That was what was really sort of weird. Obviously, the Stones one can happen. I think he should have probably got back a little bit better, but the pass that can happen. It was just that was one of the very few times Palace were incisive with their counter-attacks. It wasn't trying to beat around the bush. It was straight up and behind, and obviously they score from it. I think, look, if teams set up with the back 5 against you, but are better incisively on the counter-attack, I think that's going to cause you the most problems because, as you said, Pep likes to get 6 attackers up against the back 5, so he's always got that numerical advantage. If there were, I know that Tottenham don't do it, but let's say, because they're the only team that I can remember you having left, let's say Tottenham play the back 5, for example, but they had Son and they had Maddison on the counter-attack and they had Kulusevski on the counter-attack, players who are going to make correct decisions more often than the Palace players. That's where I think the games could swing for City.
Yeah, I think I actually watched the game, and I think the fact that he played Julian Alvarez, Rico Oscar Bob, and still won the game, that proves that, listen, City can literally, what HUSAM said, can win every single game without even having to play their starting 11. Not like last season when he played starting 11 and only made 1 sub or 2 subs, I think, every game. That's what I think where he's now, Guardiola being very flexible in the way he plays. Yes, they're wide open in the back, but who can punish them? Who do we think can punish them? Look at this. Who do we think can punish Manchester City? If you look at the run-in, who do you think can punish Manchester City? We're looking at these games, and we'll talk about Arsenal next. Who can punish Manchester City? Brighton away after that performance? Are Manchester City as strong defensively as Arsenal? Arsenal, which is we're going to talk about, nullified Brighton, right? And started the second half on top. Yes, they had a couple of chances in the beginning of the game, Arsenal, but who can stop Manchester City? You aren't telling me that Forest away can stop them. Maybe Brighton, maybe Fulham, maybe
I
Spurs.
mean, you can't rule out Forest. They got a point last season.
Who do we think, guys in the chat, looking at the Manchester City running, who do you think can take points of Manchester City? Please let me know in the chat. Like what Tom said, Fulham and Spurs. Let me know who you think can take points off Manchester City. It's very important. I want to know that. No one. People say no one. No one. Really?
It's the
No
away
one?
games. It's the away games for every team. I know people. No team in this title running with the way they've played this season should drop points at home. They should be expected to win their home games. So you look at the away games. Forest away is probably the easiest one they've got, but then you consider relegation battle maybe that could be playing a part there. Fulham away has been a horrible stadium to go to this season. They've got big results against big teams. You can't rule that one out. But the argument is, being at the end of the season, Fulham might not have anything to play for. So what's the point, sort of thing? Tottenham, for obvious reasons. And who was the other one? Brighton. Brighton is either going to cause City a whole host of problems, or Erling Haaland gets 3 goals in 30 minutes and it's done.
Yeah, the most obvious one there is Spurs away. You'd expect City to win all their home games. Not saying it's easy because West Ham are West Ham are a good side.
Oh,
but
don't give me West Ham now. They held 6 to Arsenal at home.
But
Bro, you play West Ham at home.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just saying.
5-0, you know that, right?
No, I'm just saying. I'm not trying to disrespect West Ham, but I am saying
West Ham
that
are gonna have a low block and they're gonna lose 5-0.
I'm just saying that,
especially if they're trying to get far in Europa League as well. Like, they might be resting players in the Prem for them Europa League games.
Of course, yeah. So I'm just saying the City should win all of their games at home.
No,
Brighton
will
are a good
win all
side.
their games at home. It's not sure. The City will win all their games at home. I've never been more sure of anything.
Brighton are a good side, but they're gonna. But they'll. You can't out City, so City will win that game. I'm quite confident of that. I think that Forest and Fulham. I do think that I see them both scoring actually, but I do think that we're sort of in a situation where we've sort of half accepted that our defense actually hasn't been performing that season. So we're like, well, instead of trying to control the whole 90 minutes, why don't we just like try to almost overpower them? Which is what we've done the last couple of games, to be fair. So I see that going the same way there. Again, the only one for me is the Spurs one, because again, there's the whole narrative of we haven't scored a Premier League goal at Spurs' ground. We've missed more penalties at that ground than score goals, no competitions. That is the obvious one where you look at it and you go, right, that's a potential one. We beat them in the FA Cup earlier in the season, but they didn't have Son, they didn't have Maddison, and I think that they'll have like a full strength side then. So that's the one you look at from a City fan's perspective and go, right, that's a genuine problem area.
Yeah. Let me do these couple of super chats, people, and then we'll go to Arsenal. Ben is saying, I don't get how Liverpool draw a game and people say it's a bottle job. They are the same point with Arsenal and they are 1 point above Manchester City. How is it a bottle job? I don't get it. It's not a bottle job. Nobody said that, Ben. It's a lie. It's a narrative. People want to create this narrative. Watch City. If City go 1 point ahead of anybody and lose the league, they're going to say it's a bottle job. It's not a bottle job. Tom is trying to tell the people what a bottle job is. All show he has been trying to do that. Yeah, but thank you.
A bottle job is not dropping 2 points and being top in a tight title. That's not a bottle job. A bottle job is like what Tottenham done in the 15-16 season to go from second in a title race with Leicester to finishing third by losing 5-1 to a relegated Newcastle on the last day. Shit like that is a bottle job. This isn't.
Yeah.
And if Arsenal were to go on and drop points from this point on and not win the league, that wouldn't be a bottle job either. Because it is a title race.
I think what people say about bottle job is that throwing a chance of being clear at the top. It's not a bottle job about the league. That you bottled the game yesterday. Liverpool definitely, for that game yesterday, you definitely bottled it. Let me do the super chat if you want to have your say. I'm saying, Price, since AFCON, Mo's average performances wise, not his XG. Virgil, Alisson, Trent performed really well. Tell me the last time Mo played well, Tom.
Brentford away. Doesn't sound like that doesn't sound like much until you consider that since AFCON, the man has had exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 appearances.
Just fine.
So in 5 games, and one of them he got man of the match in, which was Brentford away. So he came off the bench against City, where he wasn't great, but still should have got an assist. But Luis Diaz decides to put it wide. Brighton scored the winner, but was really bad. Sheffield United ultimately didn't do anything, was bad, and then yesterday. So yes, if you want to go for that, yes, since AFCON he's not been great, even though we got man of the match in one of the games.
Yeah. Okay. Arsenal, guys, to be honest with you, guys, do you see Arsenal dropping points? The way they play is it's I think it's the most sustainable way of playing football now, arguably in the world, probably.
If
Okay,
they
not
win
in the Premier
if they
League.
win 9 in a row, they've won 2 currently. If they win the next 7, that is incredibly impressive, and you've just got to hold your hands up and say that they are brilliant and deserve to win the league title.
Yep.
It's unlikely they win all of them. I think that's fair to say. If they do, you've just got to congratulate them and say that's fantastic, that's brilliant. Also considering not just the fact that it's 9 in a row and that's hard no matter who your opponent is, then most people would say that Arsenal have the trickiest run in. So again, if they can do it, like wow, and genuinely, that's really impressive.
Oh, 100%. Especially when you factor in Champions League as well.
Can you come closer to the mic? We can hear you.
Especially when you factor in Champions League as well. No, yeah, but if you consider that they might have to play, well, they've got to play Bayern across 2 legs. If they get past them, which I think they hope they will do, and they probably should do. I certainly think they're favourites in that tie. Then they'll have one of Real Madrid or Man City, who were, before the competition started, the 2 favourites for the competition in the semi-finals. And I think Arsenal fans can correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. That semi-final, would happen around about the time where they play Chelsea and Tottenham.
We can check here.
So like
There's some hard fixtures in there.
So that they play Chelsea, then they play the first leg, then they play Spurs, then they play the second leg, then they play Bournemouth. That's how I think it goes. Or it goes Spurs first leg, Bournemouth second leg, United. But I know that that Spurs is around about that time. And when you look at Arsenal's running,
so what if Arsenal get knocked out of the Champions League?
then they can put full focus on the Premier League, and I think I'd back them to win at that point.
No, I think they need to stay in it for like morale and mentality. I think it's in their interest to stay in.
There's not really the only reason why you could look at Arsenal and go they should go out is if they want to try and prevent injuries, but there's no guarantee that going out prevents injuries.
In the Champions League, nobody should go out. Like this is the quarterfinal of the Champions League. Nobody should go out like because they want to go out. Like he shouldn't play a second fiddle team against Bayern because he wants to focus on the league. It's the quarterfinal of the Champions League.
I think he's going to go for it. And should they? I think they could make the Champions League final. To be honest, I think they could. And then they.
You guys think he can win the double though?
It'd be a hell of an achievement. It would be.
Do you know what I said yesterday? I said if Arteta win the double.
Mm-hmm.
I said that yesterday. Yesterday? No, the day before when Arsenal won. I said if Arteta wins the double with the Arsenal team, it's a bigger achievement than Pep's treble with Manchester City.
Oh, come on.
Okay, hold on. I'm not saying that the double is bigger than the treble. Okay, because this is just math. 3 trophies is bigger than 2 trophies. But if Arteta wins the double with this Arsenal team, is definitely in my head bigger achievement than Pep's treble with Manchester City last season.
Based on what?
And I have an argument. I'm going to tell you based on what.
So
please tell me based on what.
I'm going to tell you. Just wait. Hear it then. Don't keep screaming at my mic. Why did he leave? Did you get upset?
Because he's so disgusted at that statement.
Sorry, no. Me door. I have to answer my door real quick. But I just don't. I'm
hear me out. Hear the argument.
Mm-hmm.
Hear the argument. Arteta is a novice manager. Okay, so he has way less experience than Pep. He is worse than Pep in terms of like the tactics and all the stuff. Pep is better coach.
It's a really good start. Hold
on. No. He's okay. I wouldn't think that apart from Arsenal fans, anyone in the world, if you give them Arteta and Pep now, they would choose Arteta. I don't think anybody would do that. Martin, thank you so much. The level of difficulty have not won a Champions League ever before Arsenal. The very young squad.
Mm-hmm.
The team has zero experience as well in this competition. It's their first time in this competition in 7 years. Pep has reached a final with arguably the same core of a team. When he won last season, he reached the final, a semi-final, a semi-final, a semi-final, a quarter-final, if I'm not mistaken, right? City, right, have a better team on paper and have a better squad on paper. City are run like a better club. Arsenal are the underdogs in both the Champions League and the Premier League. Everyone put City as the favorite in the beginning of the season for both competitions, right? This season. And last season, nobody saw past Manchester City, right? And that proves when they smashed Real Madrid 4 at home, right? When they smashed 4-0 at home. Manchester City last season had arguably one of the best performing strikers in the history of the sport as a number 9. Arguably. And it's not about aesthetically, it's about performing and output and converting chances. And they had Kevin De Bruyne on top of his game, right? They had options, right? So it's easier to win for Guardiola last season with a treble with Manchester City than Arteta winning a double this season. That's my argument.
Because he's a better. So basically, your whole argument was because Pep Guardiola is a better manager, it's better if Mikel Arteta
And
won less
he had
trophies.
better players than Arsenal had this season. Way better. Arsenal don't have a Kevin De Bruyne. Arsenal don't have a Gundogan. Arsenal don't have a Haaland. Arsenal don't have a Kyle Walker. Arsenal did not. Arsenal at the
Kyle
club didn't have
Walker.
Kyle
Sorry,
Walker.
over that entire team, you
I'll
throw
tell you. I'll
Kyle
tell you what.
Walker.
Do you want me to tell you what is Kyle Walker, or let Nobbins tell you in a Champions League against Vinicius Junior? Do you want me to tell you what Kyle Walker is? Kyle Walker is a weapon you use against certain individuals that not a lot of teams in the world have. Maybe Kyle Walker dropped off, and people say that, but Kyle Walker is someone that every team in the world would like to have in their back pocket against the pacey forward. Everyone, especially last season. So Kyle Walker arguably is a weapon that you like.
That's like me saying that Arsenal have weapons.
Come on, Tom. I'm presenting a fair argument. Come on, you can't just say that my argument.
I'm sorry. I look at this way.
At least let's have a conversation.
I'm going
to ridicule my argument like this.
3 trophies is more than 2. 3 trophies is better than 2.
And you don't hear me.
And one of the arguments you threw in that was Arsenal have never won the Champions League. Well, neither had City. Neither had City before this point.
Bro,
so they
not
went last
only
year.
They have not ever played. They have never played in the Champions League. Like this team. This team hasn't played as a team in the Champions League ever before. This Man City team, 2 years before that, they were in a final. And the year before, they were in a semi-final, controlling games. And the year before the final, they were in a semi-final. What are we talking about? It's called experience in the Champions League. Am I tripping, Nobbins, to be honest?
So
you hear it's an argument. We can have a conversation or we cannot.
So just for my own sanity, just summarize your without the explanation. Just summarize your statement again. Was it's a better achievement? It's a more impressive achievement? It's one more time, please.
Man City, if Arsenal win the double with Arteta, right? It's a bigger achievement for their club than winning a treble for Man City. It's a harder achievement. So that means it's a bigger story.
It's bigger or it's harder?
Okay, I need to put it in the right words.
I'm being very fair.
I need to put it in the right words.
Yes, please.
Okay, let me tell you.
Because first of all, I'm
gonna have 2 parts of a statement here, right? I would rather have a treble than a double all day.
Right? Naturally.
So naturally, a treble is better than a double.
Yes. Okay.
But if Arsenal win the double with Arteta, it's a higher level achievement than Pep Guardiola winning a treble. Let me explain it. Let me give you an analogy. Usain Bolt winning the gold medal is an achievement. But if someone who is considered to be an outsider, someone who is fourth or fifth in the world, winning the gold medal is a bigger achievement than Usain Bolt winning the gold medal because it's an underdog. Same as Leicester winning the league for me is the biggest achievement in the history of the Premier League in the modern era. Even though Man City won treble, Man City won three-peat, and Man United won a three-peat, and Arsenal won invincible. The biggest achievement in the modern era in the Premier League is Leicester City, the underdogs, winning the Premier League. Does that make sense? It doesn't mean it's better. It's just a bigger achievement. Does that make sense? It's a very simple thing. You can actually listen. I'm not well educated in English. I know that you know, Nobins, exactly what I mean, and you can word it better than me.
My issue with this whole concept of what you just said there is it's, in my opinion, it starts from a
more impressive. It's more impressive than Pep. Okay, thank you so much. Here you go. It's more impressive than Pep Guardiola winning a treble.
Yeah, it starts from a false premise of what Arsenal are. This only works if we're assuming because the way you're talking about Arsenal, this Arsenal team this season,
Like
you're dressing them up as if they are crap. In my opinion, the way you're talking about them, you're talking about how like they are this really bad team who have got no right to be where they are, which is like, well, in my opinion, it's quite disrespectful to Arsenal, to be honest, the way you're talking about them. You equated them to, I think you brought up the Leicester Premier League one. Now, that is a ridiculous underdog story because it was Leicester. But as I say, the way you're talking about Arsenal, you are acting as if they are a nothing club, that they have not spent a lot of money, that they don't have good players, they don't have a good manager. The gap, the gulf between what Arsenal and City is not as big as the gulf between what a treble is and what a double is. If Arsenal won the treble, then I would agree with you because it would be an equivalence. And naturally, I don't think it's unreasonable to say that this Arsenal side is worse than peak City of last season. That's fine. But as I say, the gulf between what is to win the double and what is to win the treble is astronomical. I don't think that's unfair to say. In respect of achievement and respect of difficulty. You might say, oh, it's only adding an FA Cup. Well, that matters. Absolutely. How many times has the continental treble been achieved across Europe compared to how many times the continental double has been achieved across Europe? I think you're dressing up Arsenal as something which they aren't. And if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd actually be disappointed and annoyed at your argument because I would be looking at that from the perspective of you're actually underselling what we are as a club. So actually, Mo, I think you should apologise to Arsenal fans.
I agree. I think you've done them. I think that the whole premise of that relies on the fact that people in this world didn't rate Arsenal, but a lot of people going into this season expected Arsenal to take that next step. Now, would it be an impressive achievement? Yes, 100%. 100%. If Arsenal was to do the double of the Premier League and the Champions League, massively impressive. But it's not a situation where they've come into it expecting to finish third in the Premier League and expecting to go out in the quarters of the Champions League and they surprise everyone. Arsenal, by most bookies, were the fourth favourites in the Champions League because most of them didn't get Inter. So you could say fourth or fifth because most of them didn't rate Inter like that. And in the Premier League, they were predicted to finish first or second. So it's not like this massive underdog story. It's a good overachievement.
Arsenal aren't
what City done last year is more impressive, in my opinion, because it is a treble. They won 3 trophies. Winning a treble is harder because of the stigma around it. There's a reason why it was only done once before. It was only done once before.
If
That's the
Arsenal or
big
Leicester, I'd agree with you, but they aren't. They're Arsenal.
What is harder? Arsenal winning the double this season or Man City winning the treble last season?
Man
Just answer
City
the
winning the
question.
Man
treble last
City
season.
winning the
Obviously.
treble?
Of course it is. Of course it is.
So the odds were much better for Man City winning the treble last season than Arsenal this season.
Mo,
At the current moment,
you little swine.
at
You have
the current moment,
spoken live on your own shows before and spoken about how gambling odds are purely based on what people do in placing bets, and you've said how they are meaningless.
let
And
me
now
ask
you
you
are
something.
dressing it up as some sort of statistical argument. You swine and fraudster, you charlatan member of the judiciary.
Let
You should
me
seek
put
shame
another argument.
immediately. And I'm appalled and disgusted at your behavior, and you should hold that. Yeah, that's what I thought. Get off this is my show now. I'm taking over, and this is Judge Dobbins, and I'm appalled at what I've just witnessed there. And this disgusting behavior by someone who's supposed to be a member of the judicial system has absolutely been exposed as a corrupt charlatan and fraudster. Boom.
Honestly.
Right. Let me tell you one more thing.
This guy, man.
And I'm going to ask the question again.
I hate so much.
If you asked 100 people last season, at the beginning of the season.
Right, now we're playing fucking Family Fortunes.
Yeah.
Well, our survey
you
says
you are trying to. I know what you're trying to do, and I know Nobbins that you know what I'm saying.
Do or do not. There is no try.
I know that what I'm saying is correct. The Arsenal winning the double, it's very hard and it's harder and it's unpredictable and unexpected. While Man City's treble last season, when you won it, it's a great achievement and absolutely out of this world, right? And it's an achievement. But you were favorite for every single competition, each and every single one of them. At the current moment, and let me tell you, at the current moment, when Arsenal are top, they still have the hardest running in the Champions League.
A thought experiment.
Say that again.
Had Napoli won the Champions League last season, would that have been better than your treble in 2010?
Oh, the pressure's getting put on now.
More impressive.
It would have been more impressive, really.
It would have been more impressive than the first ever treble in Italian football.
Okay, hold on. If Napoli won the double last season, the league and the Champions League, it's definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, in my head, and more impressive than Inter treble in 2010. Without a shadow of a doubt. And I'm an Inter fan. And I would be absolutely crazy to say otherwise. See the difference? Because Napoli, underdog, they performed in the league where nobody predicted them to win the league, right? And at the end, they smoked the league. And in the Champions League, they were the outsider out of all teams. Absolutely, I would never have hesitated to say yes. Inter are we were much better equipped in 2010 to win a treble than Napoli equipped to win a double. This is it. And I'm going to ask you the question. Were Man City more equipped to win a treble last season than Arsenal are equipped to win a double?
You're never equipped to win the treble because it's the treble. No.
Nobbins, he's acting like Arsenal didn't also spend £200 million this window. They're not doing this on a pittance where they haven't tried to close the gap. They literally spent 105 million quid on it.
In the chat, am I tripping or am these two?
Yes, you're tripping.
Make me look like I'm crazy, people.
Yes, you're crazy.
Make me look like I'm
good.
I actually, in my head, I think it's an absolutely very fair argument.
No.
Very fair argument.
It just looks like you're trying to discredit City.
I'm not. I'm absolutely not. Not at all, I swear. I said that.
No,
bro.
What if
Tom,
it was Liverpool?
To say that, so, wait, Tom, wait. For you to say this, when I said live on air, and it's recorded and documented, that the Man City team that played at the end of last season is the best team I have watched in my life play football in modern era. And people like you, Barcelona. How am I saying you're saying that I'm trying to discredit City? All I'm saying, it's more impressive to Arsenal. See, don't twist my words. And Nobbins, please
Fine,
be a fair
I'll
judge
use
here.
your words.
Nobbins,
A
please fair
treble
judge.
is more
Have I
impressive than a
ever
double.
said that the double is better than a treble in this argument? Have I ever said that?
No, I'm going to ask some further questions.
Go
Are
ahead.
Arsenal better than they were last season?
Yes.
Are City worse than they were last season?
Yes.
Right. So
Can I caveat that? City are still better than Arsenal.
Okay, interesting. So the gap
hold on.
between the gap between City
It's
and
very
Arsenal was
simple. City were 9. City were 80, were 90 last season. Arsenal were 70. Arsenal increased to 80. City decreased to 85. Still better. Go
the
ahead.
the gap between City
You
and Arsenal.
smashed them 7-2 last season, Nobbins. 7-2 in aggregate on both games. 7-2.
So the gap between the two sides last season was was it 5 points? I can't recall.
5
it
or
was
7.
Yeah. And now the gap. So there's not. So last season there clearly wasn't a huge gulf in quality. Clearly,
There was.
well, there was only a 5-point gap.
Arsenal were playing
So
out
that-
of their skin in the beginning.
So that gap has been reduced.
Yes, the gap
And-
between both teams have been reduced.
Okay.
Yes.
And that, so now we're living in a world where they
Arsenal
were
and Man City probably close to equal, but you still have an edge over them coaching, the coach, and also you have an edge over them is experience.
so the gap in quality has gotten smaller. There was a genuine title race between the two last season, so it wasn't like there was this huge narrative that Arsenal were crap last season compared to City, clearly. So the gap in quality between them has reduced. There's clearly not a massive gulf between the two sides, yet there is a massive gulf between what it is to win the treble and what it is to win the double.
When you consider that we're told that the only reason Arsenal went on to lose that title last year was because Saliba got injured. So the gap can't have been that big if, bar an injury, Arsenal were going to win that title. Now, City have gotten, I think, considerably worse. Losing Mahrez, losing Gundogan, and the replacements that have come in have not hit the ground running, and players who performed last year have not performed at the same level, whilst Arsenal have improved massively. The defence is now one of the best
hold
in
on.
the Premier League.
Arsenal have only, Tom, Arsenal have only improved since Dubai. Before that, they were worse than last season. Okay, let's establish that.
That's a good question, Mo. Would
Arsenal
have won the title if they had Saliba last season for all of it?
I think so.
Okay, right, interesting. So Tom is Tom is absolutely spot on then. So if Arsenal, actually, you think the potential of Arsenal last season is actually therefore better than what City were. Therefore, the gap between the two cannot be that great. If we're saying that the inclusion of one player being available means that they are superior as a team, because as we all know,
100%,
if you top the Premier League, you're the better side. Saliba is now available. Saliba is now available this season. The gap has closed. You have just said yourself there that had Saliba been available, Arsenal would have won. Therefore, the gap isn't that big. But as we know, again, there's a massive gap between the treble and the double. Therefore, this is a non-conversation. Arsenal are not Burnley, Leicester, Everton, Crystal Palace. Arsenal
but
are
they don't
Arsenal.
have Pep Guardiola. They don't have Julian Alvarez. They have Eddie Nketiah as a bench player.
Julian Alvarez as a flex for Man City. Let that be known, ladies and gentlemen. Our second worst player this season and corrupt. Mo
last season,
brought up Julian
the difference
Alvarez.
Is,
crazy.
I literally just got him. I got Nobbins.
Oh, he
I was
got you now,
Nobbins. I got Nobbins. Guys, I got Nobbins. He's talking about Julian Alvarez this season. I'm talking about Julian Alvarez last season.
What about him last season? He was nothing last season.
Nobbins, let me finish. Okay. Last season, they had Bernardo Silva on the right, and then they had Riyad Mahrez off the bench. They had John Stones fit for the majority of the end of the season. They had Kevin De Bruyne. They have Foden off the bench for the other winger on the left. They have Julian Alvarez, who was better than this season. He was out of this world after the World Cup. If I'm not mistaken, he played well out of this after the World Cup.
No, he didn't. No idea where that's come from. No idea where that's come from.
All right,
he was a bit part player.
Better than Eddie Nketiah. So in defense, you had Kyle Walker, John Stones, Diaz, Laporte, Nathan Ake, and Akanji. Arsenal, still at the current moment, they have only Saliba and Gabriel as center backs, so the depth isn't there. After Ben White, there is Tomiyasu, who is always injured, and there is Cedric Suarez. On the left side, they have Zinchenko, and they only have Kivior, who everyone thought is a rubbish player, and he's still not compared to the likes of Ake last season. Who else? So the team that even Arsenal team, okay, we aren't comparing Arsenal this season to City this season. We are comparing Arsenal this season to City's last season, guys.
No, but Mo,
And
We
again,
are
and as-
comparing
the whole
City's
point you
last
just made
season.
there. The whole point you just made there is Nathan Ake last season was very good, and everyone thought Kivior was going to be bad this season. No, let's compare
And
to
he
how
is
it is.
not, he's still not good. He's
Kivior
still
has
not
been
good.
good. Kivior has been good this season.
Has been good for
Or,
like 5 games.
You know what? You know
Bro,
what?
Oh my God,
It's either
guys.
it's either
recency
Mo,
bias.
Mo,
5 games.
Mo,
5 games.
Mo. It's either you have to give these Arsenal players more credit and say they perform to a top level, or they simply have the greatest spine the Premier League has seen to have this level of defence whilst carrying a left back, a right back, and a midfield. Because they're not very good. It's
Again,
one or
Mo,
the other, and the most likely outcome is
Hold on.
that those
This
players
season,
deserve more credit.
This season, Arsenal are okay. Let me just say it. This is my case. Arsenal's this season is not remotely close as a whole season to City of last season. Arteta,
but that's bollocks, because you just said that the gap between the two has decreased, and we just established that last season the two weren't that far apart because they were literally one Saliba injury away from being the better side. What are you talking about? Hello?
Okay, let me explain.
You are
Again,
me.
the gap
I am
has
rattled.
closed.
I am frustrated.
God,
you are talking out of your arse,
No, but that's the
Mo.
first
I've
time I
never
see
been
you
this
rattled.
angry before in your
first time-
shows.
it's-
Speak sense.
It's the first time I see you angry and rattled.
Yes,
ever.
because I'm so annoyed
Because you're
you
not
keep
listening.
going
No,
round. No,
we
it's
keep-
circular logic, which doesn't work. You are going against everything you keep saying, and I can't argue against this.
I'm not, because you keep saying that the gap has closed because you gotten worse. Okay, Nobins, the comparison. Okay, let me just say one thing. The comparison between City last season and Arsenal this season, I'm not getting it. What are you talking about?
Right, I'm going to say it one more time.
Okay, say it one more time.
You can stop me when you disagree with me, but I'm just going to repeat everything you've already agreed to.
Okay.
The gap between Manchester City and Arsenal has closed. Sorry, has gotten closer compared to last
Can
season.
I say why so we can have the argument? And you said stop you because Man City gotten worse and
Arsenal's gotten better.
And Arsenal gotten a little bit better. Yes, number one.
So the gap has closed.
Yes.
That's what I said. Good. Last season, the gap between the two, in your opinion, would have been closed had Saliba been fit and available.
No, because Arsenal only had 11 starters. So definitely, okay, this is the argument that you're
just
missing.
said they'd win the league if Saliba
hold
was
on,
fit.
guys, hear me out. I think you guys are not listening. There is a difference between Arsenal winning the league last season. That doesn't mean that they were close to Manchester City, guys. Winning the league last season doesn't mean that. Manchester City were so good last season that they went for a treble and won the Premier League with 2 games in hand. And if Saliba didn't get injured, still Arsenal are only competing in one competition. That doesn't mean that the both teams are close to each other. If Arsenal won the league last year, it would have won it by 1 or 2 points. And
they would have been better than City.
Hold on. No. Because you still would have won the Champions League. And you still have won the cup. See, that's what you're missing. That's what you're missing. Let me finish. I need to explain this because you said something and I think I didn't explain it well enough. You still would have won the Champions League and you would have still smashed Arsenal at your home. Maybe Arsenal would have won it by 1 or 2 points, but you would have still been the better team than them. Even if Arsenal won the league last year, that only means one thing. The Arsenal had a starting 11 that can win them the league that played. But overall, as a team, they were still worse than Manchester City. That's common sense.
No. I'm.
Okay,
let me tell
I
you.
really present a fair. Do you
may
believe?
I offer a riposte?
Yes, please.
The reason you're wrong is because we all know and we all agree that if you win the title, you're the best team in the league. So by definition, you are wrong. Because if had Arsenal won the league, and you've just accepted there that Arsenal would win the league if Saliba was available.
Can I
by
rebuttal that?
Pardon?
Can I rebuttal that?
Sure, but by definition, that therefore means that Arsenal would be better because once again, we all know that the best team wins the league every single time. So you saying City would have won the Champions League anyway means a whole lot of nothing because the best team doesn't necessarily win the Champions League. There are many examples of that happening.
Let me
I can back
explain.
that argument.
I can
Also,
explain.
people, before Mo goes, people,
Tom,
look
you
at
are
what
not
you're
allowed
getting
to
here.
explain.
Look at what you're getting here, and there's people aren't liking this video. How are people not liking this video when you're getting Nobbins lose his head for the first time I've ever seen?
All right.
Get on
What this guy's driven me to.
Allah. This show,
So-
guys, I have been told this show is one of the best shows. And by the way, some people told me that this show is second after HUSAM and LB. We have
Crazy.
to take this show above them. We have to. This show has to go above HUSAM
Before you riposte,
and
Mo,
LB.
before you riposte, I just need to summarize. You have accepted that. Sorry, you have.
I haven't
now,
accepted anything. Guys, I haven't.
Okay, but you are presenting an argument that if you win the league, you are not necessarily the best team, which is objectively incorrect.
I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to explain it. Manchester City last season started very slow until Pep Guardiola got the team to the point that at that current moment, they are able to go to 3-on-3 competitions. Okay, hear me out. At that time, Arsenal had a head start because Arsenal started playing out of, and don't stop me because I'm presenting an argument here. Arsenal started the league on smoke and they had a cushion, right? But when Manchester City caught up to them by February, at that time, Manchester City were better than them, I think, by a big margin. The reason why they are better than them, because they were able to win all the games in 3 competitions. But Arsenal had a head start because they started the season earlier. That means they started the season on top because Pep Guardiola was still getting his cards sorted, was still getting his team sorted. And once he got his team sorted, that proves that he had the way better team than Arsenal. There is Arsenal only had starting 11. Arsenal only had starting 11 plus Trossard and Jorginho that came in January that can actually support the team. While Pep Guardiola had a bench and had a whole squad that can actually win him 3 trophies. And at the end, I was proven right because one player from Arsenal got injured and Arsenal collapsed. But Manchester City, right, even when some players got injured, when someone like Foden got appendicitis, you still won the 3 trophies. That proves that my point, that the difference between the 2 teams, that even if Saliba stayed fit and Arsenal would have won the league by a point or 2 overall, and you won the Champions League and the FA Cup, overall, you have won a double and they have won a league, but you still are the better team.
So again, explain to me how a team cannot win the league but still be the better team.
Because Pep Guardiola was getting his cards sorted. And once he got his cards sorted, right, he proved by winning against Arsenal. Okay, and let me explain to you one thing. By winning against Arsenal 3-1 with Saliba in the team, that once he got his cards sorted, he has a better team than Arsenal. Plus, going all the way and beating the likes of Real Madrid and Bayern Munich by 3 and 4 goals. So that means he has better team. The team is not the starting 11. Let's say that the starting 11 of Arsenal started the season very well, better than the Man City starting 11 in the beginning of the season. However, this at the end of the season when Saliba got injured proved that Arsenal from the first day of the season didn't have a better team than City. They just had a starting 11 that were performing very, very well, better than Manchester City at that time. But the overall team, so hear me out, because there's a difference between a starting 11 and a team. By Saliba's injury proves my point that Manchester City as a team last season, even though they were 5 points behind Arsenal, they were still the better team because it took one injury from Arsenal to get Man City to win the league title with 2 games in hand. Simple.
No. Again, if you win the league, you are the better team. There is no further argument to be had.
Yeah, and they didn't win the league then, so they didn't have a better team. So your argument is invalid.
No, Mo. Do you understand why I've brought that up, though? because you said that had Saliba been fit, Arsenal would have won. This hypothetical is from the starting point of Arsenal winning the league. Had Arsenal won that league, they would have been the better team.
But
that is what is up for that is the contentious point.
But they haven't, which proves my point, not your point. That means they're not a team.
No,
that means they have a good
Mo.
starting. Okay, hold on.
Mo,
Robin, we're going crazy here because I'm going to say it again.
I let you speak for like 60 seconds on end.
Okay, you do.
I'm now going to speak.
I'm just glad I'm not the one pissing off the chat for once. I'm all right. I'm not pissed off the chat for once.
I'm bringing up Arsenal winning the league last season with Saliba. The reason why I'm doing that, and you retorting with, well, they didn't, therefore it's not relevant, is missing the point. The reason why I'm bringing that up is because you said yourself, had Saliba been fit, they would have won it. That tells me there is not a huge Herculean gap or gulf between what City and Arsenal were last season. Now, if you want, and that's exemplified by the fact that Arsenal were leading the league for the majority of the season. Now, it seems to me that your main argument there is Pep City had a much higher peak than what Arteta's Arsenal was last season. But that isn't what a league title is. That isn't what 38 games is. It's not what is the best final form of it. So again, if your conclusion is that Arsenal would win the league with Saliba last season, and you've accepted that, then that means that the gap between the two cannot be that great. That is exemplified by the fact that Arsenal were leading the title race for the majority of the season. That is exemplified by the fact that it required a massive capitulation by Arsenal for City to get back into it. That is exemplified by the fact that at the end of the day, there was only a 5-point gap. Therefore, the gap between the two is not great. Again, in summation, you have yourself said the gap between the two this season has closed. Whether it's closed by a large degree or a small degree, irrelevant. You have accepted it has closed. Therefore, if there isn't that big of a gap between the two in respect of quality, as you by definition must have concluded, we can therefore conclude that because there is such a huge gap between...
rebuttal that once you're done?
No. We can conclude there is such a huge gap between the treble and the double. It means that this is a non-argument and a non-point. The only way you have an argument is if you can conclude that the team which wins the Premier League isn't the best team in England. And as we all know, hopefully, that is a load of nonsense and trifle.
I'm going to rebuttal that now. You done?
For now.
All right. Me saying that Saliba, if he stayed fit, they would win the league, proves only one thing. The Arsenal had a good starting 11, started better than Man City in the season. One. Second point that proves my point. A team isn't a starting 11. The fact, because you have to add the fact that now it's a fact. Now it's not hindsight. Now it's not assumption. Me assuming that if Saliba stayed fit, Arsenal would have won the league, that's an assumption. The fact is, when Saliba got injured, Arsenal lost the league and by a big margin of points. The last 2 games of the season, and you smashed them 7-2. That proves that a team isn't a starting 11. The team is a team. And that proves that Arsenal's team last season were not remotely close as a team, as a collective, as a team, including the coach, including everyone there, is not remotely close to Manchester City's quality as a team. And it's proven by the fact that when Saliba got injured, because I said that I believe that Saliba, if he stayed fit, that they don't have a good team, that their team is way inferior to Manchester City. That's a fact. This season, Arsenal improved the bench a little bit. However, Manchester City are still good, proven by they are still only 1 point behind Arsenal this season. Manchester City are still favorites. Forget the bookies. For us, if you ask a lot of people who are favorites to win the Champions League this season now in the quarterfinal, even with Arsenal playing out of their skin, the majority of the fans, the neutral fans, will tell you that Man City are still favorites to win the Champions League. Also, Manchester City are still favorites to win the league if you ask people. Maybe not me, but if you ask the majority of the people, they will choose Manchester City. That proved that even Arsenal closed the gap in terms of a team. Manchester City are still better. So the facts are Manchester City won the treble last season, being the best team in the world in the Champions League and in the Premier League. While Arsenal, if they win the double this season, they are arguably the second or the best team in England and the third or the fourth team in Europe. Hence, Arsenal winning the double this season is more impressive than Manchester City winning the treble, being the best team in the country and in Europe last season. That is my argument.
So just to, again, this is the disrespect to Arsenal. If Arsenal win the Premier League and the Champions League this season, you don't think they would be the best team in the world? Just to confirm,
Not from
who is better than them?
Not for, huh?
Who would be better than them then?
At that time, we would say you prove that you are the best team in the world. And let me ask you something else. Let me add, and I'm not going to talk for long. You are saying if Arsenal win the league and the Champions League, however, Manchester City were already in the pundits' eyes, in our eyes, in every YouTuber, already the best team in the country once they be Arsenal, and also they were the best team in the world before they even faced Real Madrid. People were saying that. Do you agree or disagree? Before you won the treble, by the way, we already were saying that Man City are the best team in the world before you won both. Was that right or wrong? Was that right or wrong?
I don't want to interrupt. I just want to throw another hypothetical in this debate.
No. Don't interrupt this.
No. Because I think
I'm
it
winning.
adds value.
I'm winning.
I think it adds value.
Mo,
So
the fact you
you-
think you're winning is sad, man. I can't lie. You think that a team which doesn't win the league isn't the best in the league? That's disappointing, to be honest.
Really, Nobbins, you don't think
let me
I've
show a
presented
point
a good
here.
argument,
So
Nobbins?
if
You really
you
don't?
think, Mo,
You really
Mo,
don't?
your point was.
You really think that this is all coming from an agenda, Nobbins? And it's
No,
not
that's
an actual
not
clear
what
argument?
that's not what I said, and that's probably why I'm more disappointed, to be honest.
Really? Because you think
Yeah.
that's how I think. You're disappointed in me as a person.
so
because
Mo,
that's
if
how
I-
I think.
hold on.
I know you. I know you better than this. I'm not going to lie. I know you're smarter than this. Yes.
Right,
right.
Mo, you
I
said
think
that
that's an absolutely
in your
fantastic
opinion,
argument. It's one of the best arguments I've had on YouTube ever. But thank you so
in
much.
your
By the way,
opinion,
thank you, Nobbins.
you believe
Absolutely genius in discussions and arguments.
in your
Sorry, Tom's
opinion,
trying
you
to say something.
believe that Saliba, if Saliba stay fit, Arsenal would win the league.
Would
In
have
your
had a better,
opinion-
like I can't say, but I say yes, they would have a big chance of winning the league.
If Saliba had stayed fit, do you believe that Arsenal would have went on to win the Europa League because he got injured in the Europa League and then they lost to Sporting Lisbon?
No.
Do you believe? So you believe that even with Saliba, Arsenal wouldn't have went on to win the Europa
In
League?
that because they don't have any experience in Europe and it shows in the game. So I answered you. I tell you why. I'll tell you why.
So they have no
Can
experience
I
of winning
tell
the
you
Premier
why,
League. but they
Tom? Because don't do this before I tell you why. The Porto game, the way they managed the Porto game, proves my point that even with Saliba, with starting 11, they kind of struggled to beat Porto because the reason why, because they don't have experience.
But they didn't have experience in the Premier League last year in terms of winning the Premier League.
And
But they were going to win that.
That's one of the reasons why I said Arsenal last season were playing fantastic in the beginning of the season. But at the end, as a team, as a collective, Man City were the better team.
Sadly, the main reason why this whole argument dies a death quickly is because it's entirely predicated on this notion that the best team doesn't necessarily win the Premier League, and that is shite. I'm sorry, but that is shite. There is no example of it. There is no example. Give me an example of.
No, I'm not going to give you an example. I'm going to tell you something.
You can't. No, the point. But
what,
the point.
Can you define the team? Can you define a team?
Pardon?
Define a team. What is a team in football?
Yeah, Oxford Dictionary. What's a team?
Is it a starting 11, Nobbins? Or is it Arteta last season had a good core of 12, 13 players to work with. He didn't have any backup for a center back. Once his main center back got injured, the team collapsed. That means as a team, they were not good.
It doesn't matter if it's starting 11. It doesn't matter if it's squad. The point is, whoever wins the Premier League at the end of the day is the best, and they deserve to win it. That is the point. If you're if,
Anyway, I
point
think
as well
we're
is,
getting
Rob?
nowhere. I need to do this, guys. I am
No,
actually
just
astonished.
my last
Guys,
point.
I have to work.
Your whole point on depth. Your whole point on depth then was about Arsenal didn't have that. City last year had to play a bunch of like Rico Lewis came through the academy because Pep didn't trust Joao Cancelo. So Rico Lewis got his bout. Why couldn't Arteta last year turn to his academy and do what
And
Pep
that proves
Guardiola
my
done?
point. That proves my
No,
actually.
it
So
doesn't.
everything you say proves my point. That Pep is way superior to Arteta. That Manchester City team is way superior to Arsenal, and Arteta couldn't trust his bench because they are bad or because he's bad. Proves my point. Thank you.
No, again, there is no example of a Premier League side winning the title when they weren't the best side, team, squad, what
But they
starting
didn't win
11.
it, Nobbins. But they didn't win it.
Yeah, I know they didn't, but
But
we
they
are
didn't.
operating. But we are
You
operating.
are building your argument on
No, no, no.
hypothetical,
No, no, no.
Nobbins, on an
Yeah,
assumption.
and I have to because the starting point of this whole thing is you made the statement that Arsenal would have won, but for one player being included. Therefore, I'm positing that Saliba specifically. Hence, I'm saying, well, there's a 1 player gap between the two. There's a 5-point gap between the two. Therefore, it's not like City were up against some shite little baby team. Therefore, the gap between the two wasn't actually that large. Therefore, because you've just said that the gap has actually gotten smaller this season,
My point. Okay,
it therefore means the
finish.
gap isn't that big.
Finish, please. My point is the gap between the two teams was so big last season. Maybe the gap between the starting 11 was not as big. But actually, the fact that Man City won against Arsenal twice proved to me that it was inevitable that Man City would have caught up to Arsenal in hindsight. That my assumption of if Arsenal had Saliba on, they might have won the league. It's just an assumption. I'm just assuming. But the facts are.
That matters. I need to know.
Nobbins, I literally just told you, I was just assuming. It's an assumption, and it's not backed by facts. It's just an assumption.
No, but
it's not even backed, and it's not even an opinion. Do you know why it's not an opinion? Because Saliba didn't stay fit, and because Man City smashed Arsenal 3-1 with Saliba in the side.
It is an opinion that you think had Saliba been fit, you therefore think they would win. That is an important bit of information.
They might have won. It's different than I think they actually for certain they would win. I think they might have won it. They would have had a bigger chance of winning it than what happened last season.
Yeah, yes. Obviously, but early you said that they would win. That matters because that means that you're telling me that therefore the gap wasn't that big. And as you've just established, the gap has gotten smaller.
Okay, actually, that has nothing to do with it, Nobbins. Because actually the gap was still big because the two teams now because Saliba got injured and Arsenal collapsed, it proved that the two teams had a massive gaps as a collective, as a team, as an 18 players plus a coach. It's actually proved my point, Nobbin.
No, again,
actually, the fact, Nobbin, that I say that if Saliba stayed fit, they would have won. They might have had a bigger chance of winning the league. And since he got injured and they completely collapsed and lost the league, proved my point that there was a massive gap between the two teams.
Again, if a team is one injured
but they didn't
player
win it,
away from,
but they didn't win it.
No,
but they didn't. But they didn't. It proves my point, Nobbins.
No, it doesn't. Because again, if a team is one injured player away from winning the title, we can hopefully all agree that means there is not this Herculean gap between the two sides, as there wasn't in case of the points difference, as there wasn't in the case that for however much of the season, Arsenal are actually ahead of City. To the point where, Arsenal had like a 5-point lead. There clearly wasn't, we can hopefully all agree on that. But last season, there clearly wasn't this ridiculous gulf. It wasn't like, City versus United in 17-18, where it was like nearly a 20-point gap. Like that was ridiculous, okay? Now that is a huge gap, okay? But the fact that you've, again, accepted that they were one player away from either winning it or it being incredibly close tells me that there was not this huge gap. And again, Arsenal, for you, have gotten stronger. City have gotten weaker. Therefore, the gap has closed. Therefore, that gap is not as significant or substantial as the gulf between winning the treble, something only been done twice by an English side, compared to the double. I don't know how many times that has been done across Europe. I think the treble has only been done 5 times.
Twice in England. It's been done more than twice in England because we've done it more than twice.
yeah, it's not. It's not. I can't believe we've been talking about it for 30 minutes. It's disrespectful to what City did last season. It's disrespectful to the quality of what Arsenal are last season and this season. And I can't believe that this. I can't believe that this is actually any talking points at all. To be honest.
All right.
And what's so annoying is that, if Arsenal get knocked out against Bayern Munich, and I've just wasted an hour of my life talking about the hypothetical of whether they can even win the double, and I'll just be so angry because it'll be a wasted exercise anyway.
So
I actually, to be honest with you,
so what happens, Robbins? What happens when you and Arsenal match in the semi-finals? Who do you want to win? Do you want City to win, or do you want Arsenal to win so you've not wasted your time?
Okay, listen,
Good
Numbers.
point.
I just have to tell you something. You guys have to understand that we have been doing this show for 2 hours, and the viewership haven't dropped. And I think this was one of the best conversations I've had ever on YouTube. I want to thank you both for this. Absolutely. I know that you got annoyed, Nobbins, but at the end, I enjoy a conversation, even if I disagree with somebody. Absolutely, I enjoyed that. I haven't had someone to challenge with facts, to challenge with arguments like you.
I actively dislike you.
Really?
To know that.
Okay,
No,
I like you. I like you even more. I like you even more. I actually, after this, this conversation elevated the show about like 5 points, to be honest.
I'm going to do my own
and
show
I'm sure
now.
that you guys I actually enjoyed that in the chat. I'm sure that you guys enjoyed that. You disagree with me, you agree with Nobbins, you disagree with Nobbins, you agree with me. At the end,
going on strike.
It's a genuine conversation. Nobbins is absolutely
switching teams.
Let me do this super chats and then we end it, because I'm actually late for work, about half an hour.
Yeah, hold that. I hope you get in trouble.
Jack,
I'm going to call them now.
I hope I get in trouble. Oh my God. The guy is praying now that I get in trouble. This is crazy, Nobbins.
Only joking.
He hopes you get a write-up in work. He hopes you get a talking to from the boss at work.
Hope you get fired from your job. Hope you get fired today from your job. Okay, on Steam, breaking news on Athletic and Everton story. City will have to give Liverpool, Arsenal, United Premier League trophy medals if they're found guilty. Huge news. What?
No, they wouldn't.
Nobody said that, Jack. No one ever said that.
You know what, though? I hope Michael will be the most shameless fuckers if they did that. Get the whole 13-14 gang back out again. Get Stevie his fucking trophy parade for his league.
Yes. Oh, thank you, Jack. Uchi saying winning the double with no world club, with no world clubs as world class as players is greater than winning the table with 5-6 world class players. That's a fact.
No, but
I don't think we don't have 5-6 world class players.
I think, but if you say
Gundogan, Kevin De Bruyne, Erling Haaland,
I think we've probably got like 3, maybe.
All right, they have none. Thank you, Uchi.
But if you're going by the basis that Man City have 5 or 6,
if we discuss every single super chat for like an hour, we're gonna stay here.
No, I'm just saying on the basis
you
that
have a show, you know that,
6,
right?
Yeah. But I need to get my point out here. If Man City have 5 or 6 world class players, Arsenal this season have at least 2. At least 2, if not more.
All right. Frankie is saying Mo talking about Arsenal like they are Porto or Leicester. Mo doesn't believe what he's saying himself. Look at his face. Disgusting, Mo. I love it. I'm not. I genuinely believe what I say. If I'm being devil's advocate, I will say I'm devil's advocate. This argument isn't presented by me. Actually, it was on the show with Vator and the Arsenal guys.
I hope they were equally as disgusted.
And it was disgusting, as Nobbins say. Russell is saying, does Arteta move ahead of Klopp if he wins the double? Nobbins.
Yeah. Ooh. In the Premier League or overall?
But as a coach of an English football club.
So in terms of like Premier League and stuff, probably.
Like, it's not like people miss, like Pep winning a treble with City is still in his favor as a coach for an English club in his time. So does he or does he not? Is a conversation at least? Is a conversation?
I think in terms of Premier League manager, yes. Overall, no, because of what Klopp did at Dortmund and Mainz. But in terms of Premier League, I think that's correct, yes.
All right. I really want to hear, I want to read this name right. Shirza. I don't know. Mo, have some shame. Come on, City, the Sharks. Big up people for
It'd
supporting
be
the
funny if
channel.
his name was just CJRSA and you've tried to pronounce it all as one
CGRSA,
word.
all of this as a name. CGRSA. Ben is saying, I don't get how Inter Milan triple is bigger than Inter Milan double, assuming no, you didn't get the Ben, you completely missed the comment. Nobbins asked if Napoli would have won the double last season, is it more impressive than Inter triple in 2010? And I asked, yes. It's different. I don't get how Inter Milan triple of 2010 bigger than Inter Milan double, assuming they win. This is mad. I'm sorry, Mo, but you really corrupt judge. Thomas Nobbins, FTW. I don't know what that means.
For the win.
For the win. All right. Thank you, Ben. Dio. Thank you, Dio, for supporting the channel and sending a super chat. You guys know Dio. One player away from having a better chance of winning is a slim margins. City could have had 3 injuries and still went on to win. That is a massive gap between both squads, teams.
Those
Klopp.
two sentences contradict one another.
How? Can you explain it?
Well, he says slim margins in one instance and then massive gap a few words later.
Like there's an argument to be made that if for City, Rodri had the same injury that Saliba had, City might not go on to win the trophies that they won. Or if
actually, the first sentence really contradicts the second one because he said a slim.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he says slim margin in the first instance and then massive gap in the next instance.
So, yeah,
that's like the opposite.
You're talking to a lawyer, Dio. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's not. Ben is saying, I strongly agree with Nobbins. This Judge Mo equal fraud. Thank you.
He's a fraud.
Appreciate it.
He is, absolutely.
Uchi is saying, Tom, just stop. You said Arsenal last season was a fluke.
Yes, because I thought
exposed Tom.
No, I would be exposed if I tried to say I didn't run agendas against Arsenal. I run agendas against Arsenal. I run agendas against United. I run agendas against Everton. I run agendas against most teams.
I respect Arsenal. Not like Mo and Tom.
You have to now. You know why? Because if you disrespect them and you say anything about them, their double means more than your triple.
This guy, man. This fraud.
You have to respect him.
But that should
know that now. We know now, guys. We know why all season Nobbins had this all planned. All
crazy.
Season, he was absolutely praising Arsenal. Nobbins had this coming. He knew about this argument. He was actually knew about it.
Yeah, me and Mo were texting.
Real lawyer.
Like,
he was preparing for this.
In August, me and Mo were texting. It's like, right, in April, I'm gonna suggest that the double's better than the treble. So you keep bigging up Arsenal all season, and then it'll be a great hour of content.
Oh my god. Comdine is saying Kyle Walker point tricks. Tomiyasu is just as good. Here we go. Comdine, with all due respect, Tomiyasu is not remotely close to Kyle Walker. Tomiyasu is just as good and shut down a defender as him. We have a Kyle Walker and he starts all the big games when he's fit. Oh, my head. Tomiyasu and Kyle Walker in the same sentence is crazy, Comdine. It's absolutely crazy. You guys forgot because Kyle Walker made some mistakes this season. You guys forgot how Kyle Walker shut down Mbappe's, Vinny's, and other attackers. People are just forget. Kyle Walker as a defender was immense.
When did Kyle Walker shut down Mbappe?
Didn't he play against the PSG, if I'm not mistaken?
I could have sworn Mbappe scored.
He did it for France. He did it against France.
For England?
Yeah, but I thought Mbappe was good that game.
Okay.
I only remember Man City played PSG the year Messi joined, and Mbappe.
Yeah, we didn't play PSG last season.
Last two super chats. Please, guys, don't send the super chat after the show ends. Because yesterday on the Lahwa, someone sent a big super chat after the show ends because you are behind. Stones, KDB, Mahrez, Haaland, Rodri, not world class?
I don't think Stones is world class. I don't think Mahrez is world class. I think Rodri is now world class.
All right. Okay, here's your answer, Ochi. And Dio's coming back. Slim margins for Arsenal, massive gap between the teams. Oh, he means slim margins for Arsenal. That means Arsenal, it's slim margins for them of winning the title and not winning the title. It takes one player. But it's a big gap between both teams. Now, his super chats make sense, but it's just an opinion.
Okay. It makes sense. I don't agree with it, but it makes sense.
Yeah, but it makes sense now. Thank you, Dio, for actually clearing out. This Comdine is saying Tomiyasu shuts down Salah every time they play. Tomiyasu last season played 800 minutes. So
I'm
not
pretty
yet.
sure Salah has scored in most games against Arsenal.
And I don't think Tomiyasu played.
I mean, Tomiyasu's first season, he scored at Anfield and then he didn't play the Emirates. Last season, he didn't score at the Emirates and Tomiyasu had a good game. He scored at Anfield and then this season he scored at Anfield and didn't play the other one. So
I have a favor, guys. We're 25 likes away from 500 likes live on the air. 2-hour show. Great content, great discussion. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I'm glad. And I want to thank all my super chatters. You guys are absolutely amazing. You guys make the show what it is. Absolutely fantastic, fantastic argument. I know that if someone got the timestamps, you can tell me, because I couldn't catch up because I was arguing with one of the best YouTubers out there. Nobbins people, one of the best people out there. Genuinely one of the best. Rational talk, reasonable talk, loves his club, backs his club, but also speaks a lot of sense. His channel is in the description. Fantastic content, probably and arguably daily videos, tactical analysis, everything. He gives you everything about football. No question about it.
None of this flattery will change the fact that you are a swine.
I'm not flattering you. I say that every show, even when you don't agree. Guys, his channel is in the description. Please give him a subscription, please. And Tom Little, he does some shows sometimes when he has time for YouTube.
It's going to be on my channel at some point in the near future, actually, to be fair.
You're going to get to see our little knob.
Hey.
I want to one thing. Let's stop semantics. All world class, including my Gundogan. Ah, yes. Thank you.
But world class is just an opinion, though. It's just an opinion.
Thank you for it's an opinion, of course.
No
Comdin is saying Tommy, when fit, is top 3 one-on-one defenders in the league. A stretch. Gabriel, Saliba, Van Dijk, Konate, blah blah blah. I can go on.
Even if you want to go to fullbacks, Wan-Bissaka is a better 1v1 defender. Kyle Walker, arguably a better 1v1 defender.
I gotta, guys.
Other fullbacks.
This will take you to the football terrace. Go like the video for the top 6. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate Tom and Nobbins. And we'll see you guys tomorrow with Rory, Tone, Blue Tone, and argue someone else. I think Jamie Phillips. We'll see you guys, and we're out of here. Thank you so much.